unsmashed. Yeah, music here is really kind of nice and jazzy.
I gotta say, I really like this girder environment. It's bringing me back to the DK stages, and
Totally,
I
yeah.
absolutely love DK. So this is very nostalgic for me.
And I love the color contrast with, you know, you got the red metal and the green plants and everything. It's both a texture and a color contrast. It really looks fantastic.
Yeah. And you can tell this has been here a while because it has this growth on it.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on here with what looks like maybe steam coming out of those pipes as well. And I guess being the steam gardens, they are maybe using that in some way. Hi!
Oh, hello.
Yay! I'm just so happy. So good. Okay, enough of that. I swear, the first time I captured one of these guys, I just ran around giggling like an idiot for
Yeah,
like
Sam, I've been meaning to talk to you
minutes.
about your uproot problem.
It's you call it a problem, it's not a problem. It's a way of life. It's magic. And they make a cute little noise when they hit that top.
You guys are trying to one-up each other? Is that what's happening?
We're dancing. This is how they communicate, maybe. We're just kind of hanging out, but I don't want them to hurt me, so...
It's like how bees
they hurt
communicate
each
the
other
duplication of
instead.
flowers.
Oh, buddy. So this is an interesting, almost really a side-scrolling section where I need to use my uproots abilities. It's worth clearing out some other stuff here, too, just to see what's maybe hidden away. Oh, hello.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Nice. Your fourth moon.
Ooh.
Yeah, and there's that
Let's
little
see
counter
some
on the upper left to tell you how many moons you've gotten. And the first time you arrive in a kingdom, there's a number of moons you need in order to get to the next kingdom. And it'll show up as little outlines. This particular ROM, because it's for Treehouse Live only, it doesn't show that because we're not trying to get to the next kingdom. But
No, we're
Yeah, it
going to
helps you
show
keep
little bits and pieces here, but there's certainly a lot more going on in these kingdoms that we've got here.
yeah.
And the beautiful reflection texture on these girders, too.
Oh,
Steam
right.
gardeners look after their place. They keep
They
it
really
very
do.
tidy.
They're hard workers.
All right, so I got some more coins there. And here, I'm actually going to pop this up to the top and try to
It's coming for you.
pop over this guy. Come here. Come on. Come over this way. There we go. I'll lure you away. And now
You going for your pacifist run, Sam?
There we go. Oh, I don't want to hurt these little guys. They're too precious. They just want to do their thing. Maybe have some sun and some fertilizer. All right, so we've got some coins up here. Certainly don't want to miss those. And we're getting very close to our objective, so this is the next spot.
And these little checkpoint flags mean you can warp there in the future, which is
I'll actually let my little buddy
super handy when you're going
rest here.
back later for completion goals and such.
So he's dizzy, and just looking back, so it's worth it, I think, as you're progressing through these kingdoms, every once in a while to stop and take a look backwards, because you're going to see some things that you maybe didn't notice, didn't realize were there. So there, for example, I've got some regional coins that I didn't hit on this run, but looking at them from this direction, I can see, oh, there's something there. There's some other interesting stuff going on in that corner, too, so it's certainly worthwhile, you know, backtracking and taking another look at spaces, and there's a whole bunch of stuff over here.
Sure,
that I did
especially
not
when
get a
you're a
chance to hit.
completionist and you want to get every single moon and every single item that's the world has to offer.
Oh, yeah, and this game will keep a completionist busy for a good long while.
Yeah. There's so much stuff to find here. Oh, so here we go. That little Pronopont actually made the mistake of chomping onto that rock I threw over.
Oh!
But I will leave him to rest now. All right, I'm ready. Boom!
Nicely done.
I'm going to clear out some more of this because I want to make sure if there's any goodies under here, any hidden coins. I want to find these, and there we go. That cap spin is really handy in that spot.
Yeah.
That looks
And
really good too when you execute it.
yeah, the cap spin's a great move for clearing territory around you. If you've got a lot of enemies nearby, or maybe you have, like in this case, a lot of this toxic liquid nearby as well. It gives you a really good kind of circle of protection around you. And it can be actually helpful for some boss fights as well, just to give yourself a little bit of a perimeter of safety. Your turn, buddy. I'm sorry. You gotta go. And here,
Oh, it's a big
we've
one.
got an impressive big piranha plant going on. If we take a look closer up here, I might actually see. Oh,
And there's the
Oh,
brutal
you're getting
ship.
close to them.
they're friends.
The The HMS Brutal.
Beautiful, beautiful wedding planners.
They live up to their name.
They're brutal.
Brutal.
They are brutal as well as being, bridal.
Oh, it's a hard job, and it's a cutthroat business. Got to make yourself stand out. And maybe being willing to take on all challenges and fight people is how they make their wedding planning furniture stand out.
If you have enemies intent on stopping your wedding, these are the folks to hire.
Yes, good to note. So there. Oh, the rock. It's not tasty. I'm sorry, buddy. Oh, I know that didn't taste good at all.
Okay.
I want to get you, though. All right, almost there.
Sam, we're just about out of time here, Sam. Perfect timing.
Done.
Yeah, well done.
So that was the Wooded Kingdom, which is our Treehouse Live exclusive area for E3, and hope folks enjoyed taking a look at it.
Yeah, thanks for showing it.
No worries.
Sam.
So up next, there's the Splatoon 2 World Inkling Invitational, and that's happening in just a minute or two. Tomorrow, we're going to start with information on Pokken Tournament Deluxe, with a Treehouse Live segment on that. Then we'll have the Pokken Tournament Deluxe Tournament, which is a little hard to say. And then after that, sometime in the early afternoon, we'll start with Treehouse Live again, starting with Yoshi. So thanks very much for watching, and I hope you stay tuned for the Splatoon 2 tournament. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
ご来場の皆さん、そして中継をご覧になっている世界中のスプラトゥーンファンの皆さん、こんにちは。
To everyone here in the booth and to all the Splatoon fans watching around the world from home, hello and welcome.
私は人の姿に変身する不思議なイカを研究しているイカ研究所の研究員です。
I am a researcher from Squid Research Labs, and we make it our business to study these mysterious squid-like creatures.
今日は通訳として助手を一人連れてきました。
Today I've brought an assistant with me to help with translation.
スプラトゥーンの世界大会がいよいよ開催されます。
Well, it is finally time for this worldwide Splatoon 2 tournament.
いかがですか皆さん。この世界各地から4つのチームが並んだこの光景。
What do you think, everybody? We've brought together 4 of the best teams from around the world.
まるで昨年の10月、任天堂スイッチにおいて新種のイカが発見された時のあの光景が蘇ったかのようです。
To me, it's almost as though we've been able to bring to life those scenes we witnessed in the Switch video from last year in October, where we discovered a new form of Inkling.
発売前から世界一を決めようというのもちょっと気の早い話ですが、
But we may be getting a bit ahead of ourselves to decide the world's greatest team before the game has been released.
今日は各地のスプラトゥーントーナメントを勝ち抜いたトッププレイヤーたちの熱い戦いを皆さんと一緒にじっくり研究したいと思います。
All of these players have won their own regional tournaments to get to this stage, and I look forward to enjoying and researching their exciting Splatoon play with all of you.
選手の皆さん、頑張って、そして試合を楽しんでください。
To all the players here, we wish you the best of luck, and most importantly, make sure to have fun.
Good luck!
Since release in 2015, Splatoon has become an international phenomenon. Teams have battled, they've splatted, and they've made it rain. The best Squid squads have fought their way to the top, and now that the ink has settled, the turf has been won, 4 teams are left swimming. Team Dynamo, Rising Moon, Blue Ringed Octolings, and Team Deadbeat. Now they've descended onto the City of Angels to take part in the first ever 2017 Splatoon 2 World Inkling Invitational, with the hope of getting their hands on the most beautiful piece of metal in the world. An award so perfect, it stands as a beacon for squids and kids all over the world. An award etched with the names of players that will make history today. A trophy with a name so splatastic, it will be remembered throughout the ages. The one, the only. This just says insert trophy name here. You need a name for the trophy. Every good trophy has a name. Oh boy, here it is. The Splatoon Sterling Squid. So who will be crowned the greatest Splatoon players on Earth? Get ready to splat!
Good afternoon, E3, and welcome to the 2017 Splatoon World Inkling Invitational. I'm Jordan Kent. I'll be your spray-by-spray host for this tournament. Joining me on my left, we have Ashley Esqueda, our lead Splatalist, and on her left, our Inkspert from Nintendo Treehouse, Eric Smith. As you saw, we have 4 of the finest Splatoon teams in the world converging right here on this stage for a fantastic tournament. And before we get to the tournament layout, Ashley, these teams have inked their way through some of the best competition. Share a little bit with us as far as their journey to get here.
They have all come a long way to get here. Dynamo in Japan beat out over 700 teams collectively at the Koshien, Splatoon Koshien, and then Deadbeat, U.S. Inkling Open champions, only dropped 1 match, which was amazing. Blue Ringed Octolings ended up winning the 2017 Australia-New Zealand Splatoon Cup. And then Europe, Rising Moon, coming not only beating everyone in their home country of France, but also all of Europe in the ESL Go for Splatoon Europe Grand Final.
Very impressive resumes for all of our teams. And Eric, why don't you share with the folks how things are going to get started with this tournament today?
Sure thing. We're going to start with a round robin where each team will play each other once. We'll then move to the elimination phase, where we'll have some best-of-5 series, and then the grand finals, which will be a best-of-7.
You mentioned that best-of-5 and then the best-of-7 in the grand finals. You'll get a chance to see a variety of game modes and maps on display in this tournament build. And it's very exciting to see what these teams can do. They've had a chance to familiarize themselves with the game. And one thing that we see from these teams here, Eric, is just their ability to communicate so well. Share with us how these teams will be communicating today, and then of course when we get our hands on our copies a little bit later, how we can communicate with each other.
But of course, so these teams today are wearing the same sort of headsets you see like on other sort of competitive video game competitions. But when the game comes out, players will actually be able to voice chat with each other via an app that you download. For smart devices, we will be communicating actually more about that functionality closer to launch.
Obviously, getting the chance to chat with each other, very important. And Ashley, we get started with Turf War here. It's how we all fell in love with Splatoon at the very beginning, our very first introduction to it. But however, these players are a little bit better than you and I.
A little bit, yeah.
When they get to Turf War, what are some of the things they're keeping in mind as far as the beginning and then especially the end of each match?
Well, obviously, the name of the game is ink. So Turf War is all about putting ink on the ground. It's not necessarily about splatting your opponent. It's about having the most ink at the end of the round. So you're going to see these players play at a very high level. There's going to be a lot of mobility. It's going to go really fast. They are moving so quick. They're getting behind. You're going to see flanking. You're going to see lane kind of management. It's going to be great. You're going to see all of the teams kind of work towards coming into a center location on the map and really fighting for that real key piece of territory.
Eric, last minute of each match, we've talked to every team. They've talked about how it's so important to make sure you don't get splatted because that's how the tide can turn in any match.
Absolutely. If you get splatted in the last minute, you're taking yourself out of the equation and you're outnumbered. The enemy team is able to ink way more than you are at that point, so you got to stay alive.
Well, we've talked about 4 of the finest teams here. Let's take a closer look at one of them. Our team representing Europe, here's a look at Rising Moon.
Stonehenge, Easter Island, Roswell, Rising Moon. This team, comprised of so-called Europeans, has traveled to Los Angeles to compete at the 2017 Splatoon 2 World Inkling Invitational. But where did they really come from? Anonymous sources trace their origins back to the mysterious place called France. These alleged shapeshifters have adopted the guise of a polite demeanor, yet beneath that facade lurks some of the most intense, cryptic, and enigmatic gamers looking to dominate the competition and the competition's children. Binks is an unhinged maniac with the blasters, and the mainstream media doesn't want you to know that after achieving rank of S+99, he immediately devoured his controller.
I did achieve S+99, but I did not eat my controller. Why would anyone do that?
The real question is, why wouldn't anyone ever not do that? Cebu, Cebu, Boy.
It's Cebu.
If I'm not mistaken, that's an ancient Mayan word meaning government covert government operative.
I don't think that's actually true.
How much are they paying you to say that?
Nobody's paying me.
How much? The one known as Cebu supposedly once annihilated 7 Inklings in 20 seconds. Then there is the one that message boards have dubbed Inky. This one has a reputation for lording over his minions in tower control.
You know, I'm just here to have fun. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose.
And if you're exposed as an Inkling race looking to achieve global Splatoon domination,
Then we win?
at least 12.5 anonymous message boards have designated Desai as a Charger fanatic who has played over 3,400 hours of Splatoon.
We're just here to have a good time and play Splatoon. We just love the game.
And you have an insatiable thirst for the ink of your enemies?
No, we'll just play them and hope we win.
It might look like Rising Moon is just an ordinary team who simply loves to play Splatoon. But they won't pull the wool over my eyes. Wait, did you see that? Did you see his eyes? Come back here. I knew it.
That is Rising Moon from Europe. And Binks, if you get the victory, try not to eat the controller, okay? We only have a select few here. Just try to keep your teeth off of that here. We're getting set for our first match. We've got Turf War on Starfish main stage. So let's take a closer look at this level and how these teams will approach it. You look at Starfish main stage. And in the middle, obviously a main stage. How fitting is that? The team that can lock that down, and that's going to be point number 1 on our map as we take a closer look. When these two teams get started, they're going to want to work their way to the middle of the stage here, Ashley. And Ashley, once you get to that middle of the stage, it's important to get a push into the enemy territory as well, too.
Indeed, you want to cut off any lane that your enemy is going to be able to come at you from. The main stage is really interesting because it is a little bit raised, so you're getting a really nice advantage from which to splat your opponents.
Yeah, there are a couple of side entrances to that main stage where if you're on it, you have to watch those or someone could sneak up behind you too, though.
And it's also interesting because there are a couple points in the main stage where if players are maneuverable, they can get to some perches and get some leverage and really try to flank the opposition, Ashley.
Yeah, this is going to be a key strategy on main stage. You're going to want to get up high, especially the Charger players for each of these teams. If they're running a Charger, you want to get that sniper up to the highest nest you can possibly find, even if it's the smallest sliver of inkable space, and have them start taking out their opponents.
And Ashley, we were talking with Dynamos Dynamo before things got started, and they said it's very important for each player to have a specific role. So that means you're sometimes going to see different weapons from different characters, not everybody rolling out with the same weapon.
Yeah, you definitely want, we call it, if you're not familiar with competitive gaming, we call it a meta. So you want to have a really good balance. Some weapons don't perform as well long range, but you would see a charger kind of take on somebody with a roller. So it looks like we are getting started. We're going for it.
We are getting started. Our very first match, Starfish, main stage, Dynamo going to be in the pink. Meanwhile, Rising Moon in the yellow. Rising Moon, they're going to go with the heavy splatling, a slosher, an octobrush, and a dynamo roller. Meanwhile, Dynamo, they've got a charger, a splatter shot, throw, a slosher, and a roller. Early splat right there by Dynamo as they get the initial 4-3 advantage on the field. 2:30 left in this one, and already actually we see Dynamo going towards the middle of the map.
Yeah, Dynamo and we've got Kakashino and Dynamon getting taken out right there on the main stage. Binks is still up with a slosher, going crazy up there, trying to establish kind of positioning, and Muscular is coming up and going to try to support here with a roller.
Both teams fighting hard for that main stage right now. Nobody's really wrestled control of that. However, we start to see Rising Moon with the majority of the ink in the middle of this map. They're going to look to try to make a push into Dynamo territory here, Ashley.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you can see some of Rising Moon haven't quite filled out their area yet in terms of ink, and we're going to hopefully see them do that. What's going on over here?
Dynamon with the absolutely terrific splat on Cebu in mid-air. That's going to be critical. It's now a 4-3 advantage on the field for Dynamo. And the splat, however, it takes one roller to splat another roller as both teams still haven't seized control of the middle area here, Ashley.
Yeah, it's I think one of the most dangerous things in Splatoon 2 is going to be that vertical splash from that roller. That makes people like Dynamo very dangerous.
Kakashino getting splatted by Cebu's Inkjet. Very impressive right there. Meanwhile, we see a Stingray being deployed. Cebu with that octobrush, trying to get some work done in the middle. Meanwhile, Dynamo controlling the middle of this map still. Nobody able to make that initial push quite yet. However, we see Cebu getting splatted once again by Dynamon.
Yeah, Dynamon is really dangerous. I mean, that's his name, Dynamon. You know he's coming at you with a roller. And Cebu doing a really good job, though, of making sure to get back to his teammates. This is a really great high-level strategy that a lot of these players use.
1 minute left. Neither team with a strong advantage at this point. It's still any Squids match. However, we start to see the Ink Storm being deployed. Here's a look at the map. Dynamo with a little bit of an advantage. 50 left. 4-0 on the field right now.
That's a
4-0.
advantage, especially in the last minute. Oh, man, Dynamo's going to be able to get a lot of ink on the ground.
4-0 advantage. You got to be like salt and pepper and push it, baby. Meanwhile, 36 seconds left. 4-3 on the field for Dynamo, and they're starting to get into the Rising Moon territory as we see some Tenta missiles from Kakashino being deployed. Rising Moon, they're going to have to fight hard to get that middle. However, Dynamo doing a fine job of just saving those specials. We see a little bit of action going here on the left side, but Dynamo able to hold it down, and another splat by Dynamon right there. Going to avoid the heavy splatling damage right there. 10 seconds left. It's going to be close. Another splat for Dynamon. That's why they call him Dynamon. Another splat. Very impressive. Dynamo doing what you need to do at the end of this match, and that will most likely secure it, staying alive and getting those critical splats as we see Dynamo getting the initial victory in our round-robin match here in Turf War, Ashley.
Yeah, Dynamo really, like you said, pushed it in that last minute. They were able to get out there, get some really key splats. When they have 45 seconds left, they had a 4-0 advantage. That is going to allow you not only to put down ink in places maybe there is no ink, but also take away from your opponent.
Absolutely. You saw Kakashi and Dynamon at the very end there. Splatting opponents at the 1 minute mark. They both had 7 splats total, and so we should actually talk about that that splat statistic actually at the end of a match.
Yeah, this is really cool. So in Splatoon 2, instead of a how many times you got a splat, how many times you got splatted, we're going to see a combination of splats and assists. So this is going to be a really helpful thing for a lot of support players to get some of those really big numbers up on the screen, because if you're the Gretzky of Splatoon, I mean, you want to be rewarded for that. You want to be appreciated.
We saw midway through this match, nobody really had the advantage. It wasn't until about the 1 minute mark that Dynamo was able to get that initial hold, and it was all on that 4-0 advantage that they used right there, Eric. By the way, terrific job on the camera. We
thank you very much.
Eric made sure that we get a great view of the field right there. But looking back at this match and some of these critical moments as we look at our instant replay, Dynamon, going to be able to use that roller down below, going to avoid the stingray, get the splat, and then, yes, a 2-on-1. That's always going to work out well for the team with more squids on the field at that point, Ashley.
Absolutely, and Dynamos so good at being able to jump out of hiding and use that vertical splash to just wreck people, and it's really fantastic how he's just out there just popping out from behind a corner. I mean, I know if I ever saw Dynamos out in Inkopolis, I would not want to be on the receiving end of that roller.
You want to be friends with him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You want to befriend Dynamos.
Let's take an early look at our standings as we just got done with our first match in round robin play. You see Dynamo at the top with 1 victory. Meanwhile, Rising Moon 0-1. It's okay. We still love you. You got plenty of matches to play still to get some more victories. And so many new mechanics in this game here, Eric, and it's interesting to see with these players. One interesting thing that we oftentimes see in the meta, that word that you threw out there, Ashley, was a lot of teams were going with that quick respawn, stealth jump. That's not an option this time around, so it's interesting to see how these teams might adjust to that.
Yeah, a lot of players were using those that combination of those abilities because you were able to, even if you got splatted, you weren't punished so much. And when you did come back, you were able to jump back into the front lines, and using the stealth jump, people wouldn't see that beacon that shows where you're landing. In this tournament edition, we don't have those. So, and also the, which one works differently? So stealth jump and quick respawn.
Quick respawn's different this time because you mentioned you have to get splatted multiple times for the quick respawn to work. And if you're any professional player or this elite level, you don't want to get splatted multiple times in a row. That's not going to help you out.
If you're 1-to-1 in terms of a ratio or better, so if you are splatting more than you've been splatted, quick respawn's not going to do a whole lot for you.
Basically, I'll be respawning very. Let's take a look at another one of our teams from Australia/New Zealand. These are the blue-ringed Octolings.
The blue-ringed Octolings, native to the land down under, are better known as Bro, are actually only represented by one Bro, an all-near female team that are massive fans of Nintendo. Bro, the winners of the 2017 AUNZ Splatoon Cup, have now found themselves out of their natural element. Latias is super splatastic with the charger. After getting her first Splatoon tournament win, Latias is aggressively hunting for that next taste of victory.
Give me more charges!
Bicky Bird splats with the Octobrush and has been a Nintendo fan for as long as she can remember.
If I could be any Nintendo character, I'd probably be Villager from Animal Crossing.
Matty Kuma is the wild card who likes variety. She doesn't subscribe to one particular weapon, but one thing is certain. She has Nintendo in her blood.
My first video game was Duck Hunt. I have almost every amiibo, and my cat is named Yoshi.
Yoshi?
Yoshi.
I like you. Yoshi.
Yeah, Yoshi.
Sponge Bev is a shooter through and through, and he's got an important message to all of the Splatoon players out there.
I've never been so ready for something in my entire life. Watch out!
Very insightful. Will these competitors from the Outback do a kangaroo leap into the finals, and will they be able to outsplat the much more experienced teams? You guys okay? You can go inside now. Hey guys, Team Bro. Left foot, then right foot. Inside the door, okay? Just close your eyes and go into the building. Everything's gonna be fine. Just go inside. Well, I'm going inside. As the blue-ringed Octoling strives to survive outside of its natural environment, the world waits.
Also, the blue-ringed Octolings do have a team mom here with them, so expect them to get orange wedges in between matches. And I wouldn't go against any team with a team mom. We're getting set for our very next turf war. It's going to be on the reef, and let's take a closer look at this reef level. It's going to be one of the new ones in this game, of course, and pretty simple when you get to turf war. Essentially, you want to make sure that there's going to be an overpass area at spot number 1. Both teams can either attack from up top, Ashley, or go underneath the overpass to get an angle on the opposition.
Yeah, that bridge is going to be a highly contested area. You definitely want to make sure that you are on that bridge and you are watching, because there are so many ways to get to the middle of this map. So, and also a lot of different areas to hide in this map and jump out. And as we have seen from these elite level players, they are really good at hiding and surprising their opponents.
And Eric, we saw the Tenta missiles, a new special being deployed in that previous match, and it's one of those weapons that you can use to not only create some damage, but find out where the opposition is at too.
Absolutely. The Tenta missiles has 2 phases. So the first one is a targeting phase. You actually click the button, and a big reticle comes up, and you can see through walls to see exactly where enemies are. And how many ever enemies you target, so you can target the entire enemy team. And then when you pull that trigger, it shoots out 4 missiles per enemy and splats them.
Let's get set for our second match in turf war. We've got Australia/New Zealand. The blue-ringed Octolings taking on Deadbeat of USA. Blue-ringed Octolings going to be in the purple ink. Meanwhile, Deadbeat in that turquoise ink. Let's get things started. Deadbeat going to go with a roller, slosher, splatter shot, and the heavy splatling. Meanwhile, blue-ringed Octolings, a couple of splatter shots, an Octo Brush, and a charger. Initial action, this one actually looks like Deadbeat making a push for the top of that overpass.
I gotta say, really surprised Howard not picking up a charger. He was so dominant with that inside at the US Inkling Open. We're already seeing some splats happening. Deadbeat taking one player down really quickly. But yes, it is a fight for that bridge. It is the place to be if you're on the reef.
Matty Kuma putting in some work, and the blue-ringed Octolings with a 4-3 advantage as they take advantage of that overpass. A lot of purple ink on the field at this point, but plenty of time.
Double splats.
Still, for the blue-ringed Octolings, we see SpongeBob climbing up, and Ashley, this is another thing we see from the players, their ability to maneuver and get to these high perches that are very difficult to get to, but they can have a vantage point.
Absolutely. In turf war, inking a vertical surface isn't going to give you extra percentage, but it really helps your team get to places they need to be able to see your opponents and take them out.
Power with the heavy splatling, trying to keep some distance and zone out. The blue-ringed Octolings 4-1 advantage for Deadbeat, though. Here's their opportunity. Don't forget, you can look at the top of your screen, and any one of those squids that's flashing, that means they've got a special charge up ready to go. 4-4 things are even once again on the field. A lot of purple, though, as the blue-ringed Octolings getting a bit of a push on Deadbeat. Deadbeat on their heels a little bit here, Ashley.
Yeah, I'm really surprised to see this, but you know what? Sometimes, if you can make those pushes, if you can get those splats and take out some key people, you're going to be able to have a great advantage in putting down a lot of ink while someone else is waiting to respawn.
4-3 advantage, blue-ringed Octolings with about 1:12 left. It's starting to look pretty even. Slight advantage for blue-ringed Octolings. And Latius with an unbelievable splat on Wit. So impressive. Just the dexterity and aim of Latius right there, Ashley.
Very, very good play. I mean, these Charger players, one of the things I love about Chargers in Splatoon 2 is you're actually able to drop down into the ink, save that charge up, pop out really quickly, and make that shot. I mean, we've seen some people jump out of the ink, go airborne, and make those perfect splats.
You can't sleep on Deadbeat, though, as Hexen getting a major splat at the top of that overpass, and they're starting to get a bit of a push with a 4-2 advantage briefly over blue-ringed Octolings, but blue-ringed Octolings respond right here with another splat. Here comes a splash down on Wit. A dunk in your face right there by SpongeBob. 30 seconds left. 2-2 on the field. Anybody's match at this point. We're starting to see a little bit more turquoise take over for Deadbeat, though. SpongeBob trying to distance himself real quickly, Ashley. What does SpongeBob need to do to help out blue-ringed Octolings at this moment?
Definitely get out there, take a friend, take a teammate, be together, and you've got to win those one-on-ones. So here they are right here, fighting against Tim.
Deadbeat trying to close things out right here. We have another splat. It's 4-1. Blue-ringed Octolings, they have time for one more final push. Did they get enough? Oh.
That's close.
That is
close.
This is in Judd's pause right here. Let's see what happens. Our final score. I can't tell you from my vantage point.
No.
Let's see here. Quiet. And the victory for the blue-ringed Octolings, 44.7. They get the initial victory over Deadbeat. And Ashley, It was the final 6 seconds that we saw of Blue Ring Doctorlings
Really
taking that
was.
4-1 advantage to overcome Deadbeat in that critical part.
If you take out somebody on the opposite team in the last 20 seconds of the game, if you take out 2, that is enough to swing a match. And I can speak for myself and all the hours I've played Splatoon. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there feel the same way. You've been in a match, you feel really good, and then all of a sudden 2 people on your team go down, and then it's over. All of a sudden, everything changes.
Yeah, everything changes. And if you think about it, let's say you ink 5% of the map, but if you're also covering the enemy's 5%, that's essentially a 10% difference. So it can really swing a big amount in that last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's not slow down this hype train. Let's get set for another matchup. This time it's going to be Japan and Dynamo versus USA and Deadbeat. And we saw Deadbeat. They lose to Blue Ring Doctorlings, but they get a chance to bounce back at this point. And you look at what Dynamo was able to do in their first match. What's something that Deadbeat might try to do differently this time around?
I mean, I feel like they got to just put a charger in Power's hands, right? I mean, that was what got them here. But the charger is so different in Splatoon 2. It doesn't feel the same. It's a little bit different. It's definitely it's changed.
It's changed. I wouldn't say it's totally different, but I mean, yeah, you can store your charge now. So before in the first Splatoon, you know, you'd have to sit up kind of on a perch, fully charge your shot, and then let it go.
And you couldn't hide in the ink if somebody was coming after you.
Yes, but now you can charge your shot, hide in the ink, pop back up somewhere else while still retaining that charge.
Full charge ready to
immediately blast them.
And that's a huge, huge advantage for anybody looking to play a charger in Splatoon 2.
Right.
Well, we also talk about those specials, and we have a contingent from Ink TV that just went berserk when we saw that splashdown. And that special right there, when you look at it, Eric, it's one of those specials that if you can time it perfectly, it can create a huge swing of momentum in the match, and it also just looks so freaking awesome.
It looks awesome.
Really
because
awesome.
when you activate it, people scatter because they're scared. You know, they're like, okay, this explosion's about to happen. I'm getting out of here. But you also can actually execute it while you're in the middle of a super jump. So when you're super jumping to one of your opponents on the, on one of your teammates on the front lines, if they're surrounded by enemies, you're going to drop down, hit that, and it's going to create this huge explosion, taking out 2 or 3 enemies possibly.
Yeah.
It's a new Splatoon, which means we have yet another new map as they get set for Turf War. This is going to be Humpback Pump Track, Eric. And what's unique about this level is the other ones we've seen, there's sort of a middle area, and then each team has their respective half of the map. Humpback Pump Track, though, it's going to be a circular map with a lot of ways to access that major hump in the middle.
Right, that major hump is very important to hold down because it gives you such good sight of the entire 360 map. And there's so many ways to approach it. It's going to be hard to hold once you do get it.
But Ashley, we also have this outer track right here where, yes, if you have a BMX, you can pop a couple wheelies on the outside as you're spreading some ink around the area. You've got to really keep your head on a swivel when you see how many different ways that you can get flanked on this map.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this track is actually a really key part of this map just because this is going to enable your team to get all the way around the map, get behind your opponents, take them by surprise. And if you can keep that lane open almost all the way around, you're probably in really good positioning to get some key splats.
It is also consistent with some of the other maps as well, too, because there's a little bit of verticality in this map as well, too. We notice there are a lot of ledges that are just a little bit higher than jumping range that you've got to really be able to balance when you're trying to take on your opponent and really observe them. How does that factor into Humpback Pump Track?
I mean, anytime you can get a high ground, that's always an advantage, especially for anybody with a roller, a slosher, a charger. I mean, those are great weapons to have when you're up high. So I think in this map, being able to be eye level with that mound in the middle of the map, even if you're not right in the center of it, is a really great way to actually offensively try to take back that section of Humpback Pump Track.
As we get set for this third match in our round robin turf war portion of this tournament, one other thing, let's get real technical here, Eric. We talked about the splashdown. You mainly have to be on the same level as the opponent that you're trying to splash down because that splashdown is coming from the epicenter. If you're behind a wall or below a ledge where you are blocked from something, you won't get splatted.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have cover nearby and you see someone using a splashdown, you better get behind it.
Yeah,
let's
take
get to our third match here. Deadbeat taking on Dynamo. Dynamo in the pink, Deadbeat in the blue. Both teams getting an initial start. Deadbeat going with a couple of splatter shots, a heavy splatling and a slosher. Meanwhile, Dynamo, our first look at the splat dualies, the slosher, a charger, and a roller as Kakashino getting the party started in the middle of the map. However, Tim with the splat from behind, Ashley.
Yeah, Tim got the splat, but then, of course, Dynamon comes in with that roller. Hexen and Dynamon having a 1v1 right here in the middle of the map. This is really exciting. I always love seeing great players go one-on-one. But now, Dynamon has Kakashino, and it looks like Hexen is going down.
You see Dynamon's point of view, but also the rest of Dynamo doing a fine job of just inking their half of the map right now, being very diligent. We see a Stingray being deployed. 2 specials on the field for Dynamo as they have the 4-2 advantage over Deadbeat at this point. Kakashino with that slosher, trying to get things pink all over the place, and then here come the Tentamissiles.
Here come the Tentamissiles. I mean, you're going to see Kakashino put down immense amounts of ink with that slosher. He's going to have those Tentamissiles a lot in every single game.
Kakashino getting the splat on Wit just there. Meanwhile, power on the outside BMX track of pump back pump track. However, a splat for splat right there as we have a 3-2 advantage for Dynamo on the map. 140 left in this one. It's still pretty even. However, Dynamo controlling most of the middle hump here, Ash.
Yeah, Dynamo kind of doing a really good job here, but Hexen, you can see, kind of taking that lower map for US for Deadbeat, and now Kakashino bringing on that slosher, and it's a splat for splat, just the same.
Wit unleashing some Tentamissiles right there, going to try to advance with that slosher, just being slow and careful and making sure, just covering the area with ink, and you always want to make sure that you've got a place to move and a place to get out to before you advance further.
That's a really good point. I mean, one of the best things you can do for your teammates is, and yourself, give yourself an exit lane, because a lot of these players, I mean, if you're getting splatted, you're out of the game for a second, and what you've got to do is you've got to get away, take a minute, and get a teammate back to you. And so if you're by yourself, a good idea is to find those exit lanes.
4-2 advantage, Dynamo. They've got 3 specials. They just unleashed the Tentamissiles right there. And Ashley, this is a chance for Dynamo to make a decisive push in this match.
It looks like they are making a decisive push. There's some really good one-on-ones happening right now. I mean, it is looking really close, though, and anything can happen in these last 45 seconds.
45 seconds, 2-2 on the field, 1 special for each team. Dynamo going to have another squid join the party at this point. It's 3-2 Dynamo at this point. 37 seconds left. You see the map. Dynamo holding down the middle part. Deadbeat going to have to make a push here, Ashley, and stay alive. That's the critical part.
Absolutely. Getting splatted at this point would be a huge deficit for them. They definitely don't. And Wakaroon takes out Tim. It's, oh no, they're down 1 player, but they can still make this happen. They've got 15 seconds left.
4-2 on the field right now for Deadbeat. You've got 13 seconds to make a push, trying to put some pressure on Dynamo. It's 4-2. They've got 3 specials waiting in the clip. 5 seconds left. Expect to see those specials have a bonanza the final 3 seconds. Deadbeat, did they get the push?
Oh,
At the end, let's leave it up to Judd once again.
That's
Unbelievable
really
finish, however. Oh my gosh.
What's Judd got to say?
It's gonna be Dynamo, the 51.9 to 42.9 victory, and once again, a match that comes down to the final drop of ink for Deadbeat. However, they don't end up on the victorious side once again, and you look at Dynamo really dominating this match for the majority of the time. It was just too little ink, too late for Deadbeat.
Yeah, I'm actually, if you looked at the card, Dynamon, no specials unleashed, but also 5 splats and assists. That's great.
Let's take a look at the current standings. Don't forget, after this round robin part of Turf War, we will see the teams 1 through 4. 1 will take on 4 in the first elimination round, 2 versus 3. So that was a heated battle between Deadbeat and Dynamo. We might see them in the next round. 2-0 Dynamo in the lead. Meanwhile, Blue Ring Doctorlings 1-0. Rising Moon, they've dropped a game. Meanwhile, Deadbeat in a little bit of a hole. They're going to have to ink their way out of that as we get set for a couple more rounds of Turf War. And really just Dynamo working really well as a team, and it seemed like they never just felt too much pressure from Deadbeat that entire match, Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, they're a well-oiled machine. They've been playing together for a long time. One of the things I thought was really interesting about Deadbeat is they have never met IRL until now. So they have never actually met in person until this tournament, which is really cool, but also it's one of those things where you kind of want to have that synergy of like playing together in the same place and being able to kind of put things together and do the thing. And so maybe that's a little bit of a hurdle.
Well, we've talked about communication, and Eric, what are some of the things that these players are going to communicate to each other throughout the match as far as helping them really be on the same page?
Yeah, so these players are talking about where they are. They're talking about where they see opponents. They're talking, tactics. We need to take and hold this position in order to spread our ink, most effectively. So they're constantly thinking, constantly communicating.
And you really look at what Deadbeat was able to do last game, late in the round, they had those 3 specials, but they just needed a little bit more time. So you wonder if Deadbeat
maybe
might
5 more seconds.
5 more seconds. They might go back to the drawing board and rethink some things for sure. We're going to get set for our 4th matchup right now. We've got the Blue Ringed Octolings from Australia / New Zealand taking on Rising Moon representing Europe. And we've got yet another new map to highlight. We're going to have Muscle Forge Fitness this time. And when you look at this map here, Ashley, it's really about what we call that rock climbing pyramid in the middle of this map. And when you highlight that, it's really interesting to see how teams can sometimes live up there, but then if you fall down from that pyramid, there are some narrow channels.
Yeah, you can make things happen. If you don't take over the pyramid, that's okay. You can still work all of the different little side areas. You can try to cross the great into enemy territory and kind of cut off those avenues. You're going to see a lot of bombs going up over into the enemy area. There's a lot of great ways to sort of stop your opponents from even getting to that center pyramid.
Yeah, absolutely. Cutting off your opponent's lane of attack is one of the most important things you can do. So because you limit their movement, and movement is everything.
And lastly, this map does have that little bit of an area that we talk about, Eric, where there are some ink-proof walls where you can't really make much of a push beyond that. So these teams will have a little bit of a safety net if things get a little too overwhelming to make a pushback.
Right, and there's usually a couple of ways you can get out of that part of your base. So if, you know, an enemy is kind of camping one spot of that, you can take a different route.
Rising Moon getting set to take on the Blue Ringed Octolings. And the Blue Ringed Octolings, Ashley, they get the victory over Deadbeat in the opening round. And it was interesting. We had the mixer the other day, and they get a chance to play a little Splatoon 2. And it's not on the teams. You're mixing it up, country versus country. They felt very confident after they had a hands-on approach once again with this specific build.
Yeah, I really liked how when we spoke to them, they said, you know, the cool thing is we feel confident because we all have the exact same amount of experience with the game. No team has played more Splatoon 2 than somebody else. And so I think that's really apparent here. I mean, we had I would consider that to be an upset, our first upset of the day.
As we look at some of the other specials, we saw a couple of the Stingrays here, Eric, and we'll maybe get a chance to see that in this map. But really, these players are getting familiar with what specials play well with not only their individual play style, but the team play style.
Yeah, and there's a limited amount of specials they can use, so they need to plan to use those as effectively as possible.
Let's get this 4th match in our round-robin tournament started here. We've got Rising Moon in the orange. Meanwhile, Blue Ringed Octolings in the purple. Rising Moon going with a roller, slosher, Octobrush, and a blaster for our first appearance. Meanwhile, Blue Ringed Octolings, 2 splatter shots, a Octobrush, and a charger, as we already see a couple splats. 4-3 advantage on the field right now for the Blue Ringed Octolings. Seibu gonna hang out some ink right here, actually, as Rising Moon tries to hold down that rock climbing pyramid in the middle.
Yeah, this is a dangerous location for Seibu to be hanging out in, but gets the splat, able to jump up, swish that brush around, get that ink into everybody's face, which is really great. And now we got the Inkjet.
Seibu and the Inkjet, meanwhile, getting a splat on Latias right there, and then landing back in the ground. Seibu inking a masterpiece with that brush right now, as we have the early advantage going to Rising Moon on this map, and they're doing a fine job of keeping the Blue Ringed Octolings on their heels.
Yeah, you'll see on the north and the south sides of the map, you'll have these areas where you can drop down. They're going to put as much ink as possible. Rising Moon will put down as much orange ink as possible to keep them out of there. They want them to come across that grate so that they can funnel them through and take them out systematically.
SpongeBob falling victim to some Tenta missiles right there. Meanwhile, we have a splashdown being deployed for the Blue Ringed Octolings. You see the map advantage right now. Rising Moon, 140 left, 4-4 on the field, a couple of specials ready to go for Rising Moon. Latias trying to just take aim at a couple potential opponents at this point, not having much luck finding anybody right there. However, doing a fine job of holding that back line for the Blue Ringed Octolings.
Yeah, really nice job taking out Seibu there. Seibu kind of going nuts with that. Oh, I saw some Toxic Mist.
That Toxic Mist will reduce your ink. We're down to 118, 4-2 advantage on the field for the Blue Ringed Octolings. Let's see if they can make a push, and they're starting to get one. 2 specials charged up. Stingray being deployed by this point by Latias, doing a fine job of using some cover. 4-4 still, neither team wanting to give up some ground. However, Blue Ringed Octolings, they've got Rising Moon pushed back a little bit, as it's now 4-1 on the field.
This is kind of a change of pace here. About a minute ago, we had a completely different map. Now it's covered in purple. We're seeing Blue Ringed Octolings really make this last push in the last minute of this match.
There's the first pachink of the match. I love to hear that as SpongeBob gets a splat right there. Meanwhile, Andy going to try to keep SpongeBob at bay with that suction bomb. No luck there. 4-4 on the map, 30 30 seconds left, and really it seems like it's going to be the team that holds the top for the final of this match that's going to win this one here.
That pyramid is so key. SpongeBob going down. They are at a deficit. Let's see if Rising Moon can make things happen right now in the last 20 seconds.
2 critical splats.
Oh,
Dr. Wings, however, Rising Moon coming back, and the moon is rising right now with 17 seconds left. You've got 2 specials charged for Rising Moon. They've got the blue ring Doctorlings on their tentacles pushed back. Meanwhile, Vicky Bird trying to get some desperate ink along that side of the rock climbing pyramid. Is it going to be enough? I don't know. I see a lot of orange on this
a lot
map.
of orange ink down there.
And it might be another potentially close match. Let's see what Judd has to say on this one. We really saw Rising Moon turn the tide late in this match. And our final result, that victory is going to go to Rising Moon, 46.7 to 43.8%. And really, we talk about how important it is actually to stay alive. And it was Rising Moon writing that critical 4-2 advantage late in the match to make the push of momentum right there.
Yeah, that last 30 seconds is absolutely key. If you are able to convert and get those splats, keep yourself from being splatted, get out of the heat when you're in the kitchen and be like, hey, I gotta wait a second before I do this last push because I'm alone and I don't want to get surrounded or splatted. You wait for your teammate to jump and then you go.
Eric, we've got a couple of replays we'll take a quick look at here. That was a very intense match, real back and forth. That's what you expect when you get teams of this caliber. Here's Cebu hiding down on that lower level, able to pop up out of the ink and use that Octo Brush to get the splat. And then once again, you see SpongeBob down below. Cebu gonna use that inkjet. And what's the best part about that inkjet in order to get some splats there, Eric?
So that inkjet allows you to get to places you actually wouldn't be able to. So kind of over walls that you can't climb because they're ink proof. You saw there with Cebu, actually Cebu went around and splatted because able to flank using that inkjet. The danger with the inkjet is that once the time is up, you actually go back to the spot you initially popped it from. And everyone knows that because there's a little beacon there. So if you don't use that in a safe spot, people are going to camp that because they know you're coming right back.
We see that inkjet. It harkens back to fine memories from Super Mario Sunshine. You see the ink that's propelling you in the air. That ink that is lifting you up in the air, does that have an impact on anything on the ground?
It does. You can actually splat people using that. So if you fly over someone with all the kind of ink exhaust coming out, you can splat them with that. It's also inking your turf. So, you know, people can follow you using the trail you leave behind.
It's a really great way to escape. If you're in a little bit of trouble and there is nothing but enemy ink on the ground, that's a great way to get up and get out.
It's true, but you're also kind of exposed because you're up in the air. If there are chargers around, you're kind of
sitting
a
duck.
Squid in a barrel. Yeah.
Squid in a barrel. I love it right there. Well, we're going to get set for our 5th matchup in this round-robin portion of the Turf War. We've got the Blue Ring Doctorlings taking on Dynamos. This time it's going to be Moray Towers. We all know and love Moray Towers from the original Splatoon. However, it's a little new and improved.
It's the map you love to throw your controller at.
Absolutely. So spot number 1, you've got that sort of lower level quad right there where a lot of the action can funnel to. However, there are rails, Ashley. And Ashley, as I draw these rails, why don't you tell the folks what players can do to use with these rails to access some more mobility?
I'm very excited about ink rails in Moray Towers specifically. So these players are going to be able to ink a rail, it will turn their team's color, and then they can ride in that rail to places they wouldn't otherwise. Take them much longer to get to.
Right, yeah, and especially because it's essentially an inked turf. Because if you haven't inked the turf, you're going to have to then ink it and then go. But if you pop the ink rail, you can just get on and ride it immediately.
Other subtle changes we noticed, when you're in that quad area, Eric, there's a little bit of a half pipe that leads to this long vertical wall. We've been known in Splatoon to see a lot of chargers sit on top of that wall. That wall has been shortened this time around, making it easier to get up to any chargers that might be perching there.
Yeah, before, you know, if you held that position, you had great oversight of the entire bottom level there. But with that being able to be more, like.
It took a while to swim up that wall. It took a while to swim up that wall and take out. So now they'll be able to rush that nest and take out anybody with a charger who's trying to get things set up.
2-0 Dynamos taking on the blue-ringed Octolings. Moray Towers harkens back to the original Splatoon. Let's start with Dynamo in the green, taking on the blue-ringed Octolings in the pink. Dynamo gonna go with a splatter shot throw. Meanwhile, a slosher, a dynamo roller, as well as a charger. Meanwhile, you see the blue-ringed Octolings going with that Octo Brush splatter shot, charger, and heavy splatling.
You notice Autobaru from Dynamo hanging back, painting all of the turnbacks, all the switchbacks. There you go, Vicky Bird with a huge Octobrash splat. Then gets splatted by Dynamo.
Vicky Bird getting splatted right there. And Dynamo, we should mention this edition of Splatoon, when you're flicking the ink with that roller, it now goes in a different direction, actually.
Yeah, this is, that vertical splash is a little terrifying. And also really easy to reach as someone with a charger.
Kakashino getting the slosher splat on SpongeBob right there. Kakashino, though, getting splatted, however, by the splatter scope. Latias, very nice aim right there. Latias trying to take aim on some more Dynamo players. Meanwhile, nobody else has really claimed that middle area. Both teams have done a fine job of diligently inking the ramps on their half of their map, though. You got to account for all those small areas, Ashley.
Yeah, Blue Ring Doctorlings really looks like they're taking advantage of Dynamo, hanging back a little bit, maybe getting ready for a collective charge. Latias just going nuts with that splatter scope, absolutely taking advantage of that charge being able to be used as you pop out of the game.
What's impressive is Dynamo really has the majority half of their map covered in nothing but green ink. Meanwhile, they get a couple of splats, 3-2 advantage on the field. Minute left in this one. A special ready to go. There goes the Stingray. Dual Stingray. Dueling it out across Moray Towers right there. Meanwhile, Kakashino starting to advance into the Blue Ring Octolings territory. Gonna get the splat. Moving up now to Latias, trying to get, and gets the splat on Latias. And this is trouble for the Blue Ring Octolings because Kakashino gonna unleash those tentacles.
That's right, 10 missiles incoming, and also we're down to the last minute, so now is the time to not get splatted.
Impressive splat here by Sponge Bev with the splatter shot. Meanwhile, Rakaruno trying to move with that charger, trying to find a couple of Blue Ring Octolings to get a splat on. Got Vicky Bird in his sights, however, can't connect. 50 seconds left, 4-4 on the field. I feel like this is going to be another one that comes down to the end here, Ashley.
This is going to be a really close one. Vicky Bird doing a really nice job of escaping the middle of that map. Had a little bit of a moment where maybe was like, whoa, I gotta get out of here. I gotta leave. Sorry, guys, bye.
Vicky Bird in the ink jet, getting some ink covered in the middle of the map. Going to respond back to her spot, avoids, not too late.
Splatted.
As Dynamo starting to make a push into Blue Ringed Octoling territory. Just 23 seconds left, 4-2 advantage on the map for Dynamo. They've got a special ready to go, and here comes that push. 15 seconds left. Can the Blue Ring Octolings get to the middle of the map and make something happen? Oh, it's gonna be close.
It's gonna be close.
Dynamo, Atubaro holding things down from up top. And this is going to be a late little push from the Blue Ring Octolings. However, critical splat by Vicky Bird.
That was a
Vicky
huge
Bird
splat.
with the splat and 2 seconds left. You had enough time to get just a little bit more ink down.
That could be 1% that wins it.
However, it could be Dynamo, 48% to 41. You saw Dynamo putting a little bit of that ink, that green ink, into the Blue Ring Octolings half of the map, and that was the difference in this one, Ashley.
Kakashino snuck back there and was able to get that slosher on the ground, and that thing puts down a lot of ink, and so you can do a lot of damage in a really short amount of time.
It does. It's such an offensive weapon, and you saw actually Kakashino had 10 splats and assists there. Really,
yeah. Performance. That's a huge performance.
Here's this critical splat. Vicky Bird gets the splat. You know, of course, it's going to create some purple ink in the place of who you just splatted. But with 1 second left, could have used about 4 or 5 more to get
4 or 5 more
up
seconds
into
would have been
the territory for Dynamo. And so Dynamo 3-0, and they just roll through this opening round of Turf War here.
Absolutely dominating. I mean, but you know, they're communicating. Obviously, you're seeing them, you know, have strategies. Say, hey, in Moray Towers, let's hold back on Turf War. Let's make sure every inch of all of our switchbacks are covered in our team ink. And we don't really see 100% of that on Blue Ring Octolings.
You see Dynamo standing at the top of the standings, 3-0, flawless through our round-robin portion. Meanwhile, this is an interesting matchup here between Deadbeat and Rising Moon. If Deadbeat can get the victory, they're going to tie up with Rising Moon and Blue Ring Octolings. And we do have a tiebreaker in place. We're keeping track of the percentage of turf that was inked. We'll obviously seed the teams based upon who inked the highest percentage of turf in all 3 of those matches. We'll keep you posted on that if Deadbeat can get the victory over Rising Moon. And so, Eric, we've seen Deadbeat struggle a little bit in their first 2 matches to really claim a victory here. What's something they might want to think about? Because we haven't seen Power with that charger yet, relying on that heavy splatling.
Yeah, Power has a switch to the splatling, trying to hold that back line and ink as much as possible. But Power, you know, such an effective charger player. We might see him switch to the charger. Who knows?
Well, it's also interesting depending on the map as well, too. These players are just now getting familiarized with these maps, so there are some things that you're going to work on with your communication. However, it's really just, we've seen Deadbeat try to turn the tide late in the match, but just like we saw with Blue Ring Octolings, too little, too late. You think about maybe having a more conscious effort to make that push earlier on.
Yeah, and I think they really have to capitalize on those one-on-ones. I mean, that's such a key part of being able to win at the end of that last 30 seconds. If you've got to win those one-on-ones. You've got to take out your opponent and get them out of the match.
And Eric, as we get set for our final match of round robin Turf War play, Turf War really helps teach the fundamentals of how you can build upon being successful in Splatoon. As we mentioned before, Ashley, you and I, we hang out in A- B+ land. You're going to be a little bit higher than that, I think, actually. But
just slightly, I promise.
When you really want to make that turn to become a better player, and the conversation we had with these players, it's understanding how you can have territory control and how you don't just unconsciously go into a particular area. You want to make sure that you are inking area, not only to give yourself space to move, but you decrease the amount of mobility for the opposing team.
Right, and Turf War is just one of the modes in the game. It is kind of, as you said, build those fundamentals, but you can use those philosophies you develop playing Turf War in all of the different modes. And also, you know, we do see Deadbeat 0-2 right now, but some teams are better at different modes. So we'll see maybe once we get past the round robin stage, which is just seeding us for that elimination round, we might see Deadbeat actually just destroy the competition. You never know.
Let's get to our next map, a new one, Inkblot Art Academy.
I love this map.
We got a chance to check it out today for the first time, and as we look at this map, let's point out a couple key points with our numbers here. You've got that middle area, you've got some cover right here, Ashley, but also there's a very interesting piece of art on each side of the map. Let's top that, 2 and 3. These are almost like hands that are sticking up, and you have a chance to ink those. So how can teams use that for leverage in order to get a good line of sight on everybody?
They are inkable, and I will say if I had a charger, that would be the place that would be my nest.
It's a little obvious, you know, people might think you're up there and actually shoot up there, but at the same time, it's a great vantage point.
Absolutely. You could get a burst bomb up there. That would not be a good thing. That would be very bad.
Well, there's some similarities in this map to the Reef, as there's a middle area. It's not a very long linear level that we might have seen in some levels in the original Splatoon here, Eric. So the teams are really going to be right on top of each other from the majority of the map. It's not going to take very long to get back to the middle also.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll see who is able to hold that, and if you're able to stay alive, super jump right to the front lines, you can push beyond that.
Yeah.
Let's get set for our final match in round robin play of Turf War. Deadbeat looking for that first victory as they take on Rising Moon. Deadbeat going to be in the yellow, Rising Moon going to be in the blue, and let's take a look at the loadouts for both teams here. Rising Moon going with that Slosher, Octobrush, Roller, and Splatter Shot. Meanwhile, a pair of Splatter Shots, Heavy Splatling once again for Deadbeat, and a Slosher as Rising Moon the first to the middle here, Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, they went right for it. They were not wasting any time at getting ink down on the ground, which might be detrimental to them. We'll have to see if that pays off.
And right now, we see Deadbeat. Everyone's just sort of holding the same linear position, getting some ink covered, making sure nobody advances too far out without some support behind them as we get a vantage point of Tim, and it's a 4-3 advantage right now for Deadbeat. A couple specials ready to go, 3-2 on the field. Early advantage with 2:25 left in this one, Ash.
Yeah, you can see Deadbeat really making a push here because they have that player advantage. Hexen really just doing a lot of damage and taking out a lot of our Rising Moon players.
Tim being very aware for Deadbeat, finding one of those lower areas that you can go and ink every single percentage. Very vital in Turf War. 4-3 advantage and a trio of specials ready to go for Deadbeat at any moment's notice.
Yeah, I see some really interesting things happening down here with Seibu is taking a little bit of a sneak attack here, trying to take out Wit. Let's see if it works out. It does. He takes out Wit. That's great. And now we're seeing Power with that Splatling get taken out.
The
heavy
ink
Splatling.
jet with a huge blorb of ink to take out Power. Power drops down from that perch. However, Tim's going to avenge his teammate right here.
That's right.
As Tim
Avenge the
back
splat.
to the lower level, get some more ink down there. And we saw Power at the middle of that tower, in the middle of the level, a really important spot and vantage point for him.
It is, but it's also really dangerous for him because that heavy Splatling has a huge wind-up time. It takes a long time to get that thing to charge, but once it's ready, he is going to be very dangerous.
Tim sees Seibu trying to undo his work that he worked so hard for. Going to try and get him. Here comes the splashdown, but no. Seibu getting the splat with the Octobrush while Tim was midair with the splashdown. Too late there. 1 minute left. 4-4 on the field. Right now, the advantage looks like it's going to Rising Moon as they're starting to make a bit of a push into Deadbeat territory. It's 2-2. Seibu in that inkjet. He's gonna have to splat down though.
He just took off, and that's the importance of having your exit lanes ready to go. Seibu's trying so hard to take out Hexen, and This is a great one-on-one, and I'm really curious to see this could be a key moment.
43 seconds left, 4-4 on the field right now. Seibu trying to escape some danger right there. Wit gonna try and flank him with the slosher. Tim unable, gets the splat on Seibu. It's now 4-2 for Deadbeat. Here's where they've got to make that push we've talked about, Ashley.
This is a huge advantage for Deadbeat. They're gonna push forward. They've got 2 specials ready to go. Tim is already pushing into enemy territory.
Keep an eye on Andy at the bottom part of the map right here, trying to cover some important territory, trying to get the slosh. He's gonna go one-on-one with Wit. Wit using some coverage. Andy with a critical splat against Wit, and that's gonna allow Andy to move out and cover some precious yellow territory. It's now 2-1, 3-1 on the field for Deadbeat. They've got 5 seconds left for a push. This might be enough. Tim,
a lot of yellow
down into action, and let's see what the result here is. Did Deadbeat get enough done late in this match? It looks like we might have. What does Judd have to say? And yes, that's going to be a 50.5 victory over 32.8 for Deadbeat. That means our producers in the back are going to have to do some number crunching to figure out what's going to happen with this tie. But what we saw from Rising Moon, they did a great job of making sure whenever Deadbeat covered one of those lower areas, they rushed right in there to make sure that they covered it up, and it forced Deadbeat to really get away from what they were trying to do to go take care of the damage that Rising Moon was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we also saw them really make an effort to keep the north and south parts of the map in the center covered in yellow. So that way, if they were in trouble, if they have a teammate jumping in, they're able to have those exit lanes. They can come back and have that advantage of, oh, well, you have an inked here. Sorry, Rising Moon.
And Eric, how important is map recognition when you get to Turf War? Because a lot of times, so much of the action is sometimes concentrated in the middle of the maps. We saw those lower areas that you can't ignore, especially late in the match.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certain players tend to gravitate to certain parts of the map. I mean, you have your little hiding spots that you love to go to. If you have a new map like Inkblot, you haven't established those yet. So you really need to figure those out before you can use the map to its most effective.
So we talked about our producers doing some number crunching in the back, and as we said, it was the highest average percentage of ink covered throughout the 3 matches. In first place, obviously, we've got Dynamo. They're 3-0. Australia, USA, and Europe, all tied. How about these numbers here? Australia, New Zealand, 43.4%. Deadbeat, 43.4%.
No. Wow.
Rising Moon, 34.56. So as we see the teams getting set for the first set of elimination matches, it'll be Dynamo taking on Rising Moon. Meanwhile, the blue-ringed Octolings of Australia, New Zealand taking on Deadbeat as we advance to these best-of-5 modes. So we knew the competition was good here, Ashley.
This is fierce competition. It is literally dead even. This is amazing, and honestly, really impressive by all of the teams to come out and have this really even match. There's nobody who's just getting swept.
And we see that these teams, as we mentioned, trying to adjust to different types of strategies here, Eric. We mentioned you've got no more stealth jump along to go with that quick respawn. There's no more ninja ink as well, too. So these teams are really going to get a feel for each other. Are you excited to see how the strategy might evolve throughout these matches?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all these teams really are reading their opponents. They're seeing, what's most effective against this team, and they're evolving their strategies based on that.
An unbelievable set of round-robin matches in Turf War. We've got our teams seated. We're going to take a short little break, then get set for our first elimination matches, best of 5, as we continue with the Splatoon 2 World Inkling Invitational.
Team Dynamo is considered by many to be the team to beat, having traveled over 5,000 miles from their home country, Japan. A country notorious for having the most competitive Splatoon scene. Here they ranked as some of the most intense, fierce, and focused Splatoon players alive today. Atuburu is known to wield the Cherry H3 nozzle nose and regularly has over 20 kills in matches.
Well, naturally.
Wackaroon's go-to is the E-Leader 3K. Most importantly though, he once hit S+99 for over 2 hours straight. Just so everyone's clear, that's crazy.
It was rough, but we were able to continue the score counter until we won for 2 hours.
Kakashino, a slosher weapon expert and Piranha Pit stage lover, is here to win and find the perfect hamburger. Really? Hamburger?
I want to win, but I also want to eat hamburgers. I'm not going to lose.
Well, good luck with finding that hamburger.
Thanks, narrator.
And last but not least, an unexpected secret weapon, a new addition to the team. Only a short while ago, this player was Team D's rival. They wanted nothing more than to splat him into oblivion. But with everything on the line, they had to recruit the best of the best of the best of the best. Dynamo is named after his masterful work with the Dynamo roller. Using it to roll over the competition, Dynamo claims to be unbeatable with the, of course, Dynamo roller. Geez, this guy really loves the roller. We get it. You're the roller guy. With their top recruit in place, Team Japan will need to band together quickly if they really want to splat their way to Splatoon glory. One thing's for sure, all eyes will be on Dynamo.
Oh, what a look right there. And Dynamo, no coincidence that they have a player named Dynamon. How did that work together as far as the naming of this team?
Yeah, the team was named after Dynamon because they were so impressed with his play, and now he plays on that team, which is really cool. It's like what a great small world. It's a really tight community of Splatoon players all around the world, and so I think it's really neat that sort of they started being inspired by his play, and now he's part of the team.
Dynamo, the #1 seed after round robin play, taking on Rising Moon, the 4th seed after round robin play. And Eric, we're getting set for tower control, our first sort of ranked match if you're familiar with the original Splatoon. How is tower control this different this time around in Splatoon 2?
So Splatoon players will know that tower control starts with a tower in the middle of the map. Players get on that and ride it into enemy territory. This time, on the way to your goal, you'll actually have to stop at checkpoints for a number of seconds, giving the opponent a time to catch up and splat you off of that tower.
Here's the schedule for the matchups in this best of 5 between Rising Moon and Dynamo. They'll start with tower control, then they'll splat some zones. We'll make it rain with the Rainmaker, and a game 4 if necessary, Turf 4. Game 5 if necessary, we'll go to Rainmaker. I know everyone here would love to see this go 5 rounds. We can't get enough of this Splatoon action. So it looks like the teams are getting set. This is going to be tower control on Moray Towers. We explained earlier, Moray Towers now has some rails to help with accessibility. Going to be interesting, Ashley, how some of these new sub-weapons might come into play with tower control.
Yeah, I mean, that Toxic Mist is going to be key here. It's going to be key here because it's going to slow people down, it's going to take their ink away, and it's going to hopefully help them take back a tower if it's not in control by them.
Dynamo in the yellow, Rising Moon in the purple, as Dynamo making the first approach to the tower. Nobody riding it quite yet. We see 3 sets of the Toxic Mist, and Ashley, these players were loving the Toxic Mist, especially in tower control during that open period. They got to practice.
Absolutely. Being able to slow your opponent down and also take ink out of their tank is such a big deal, especially when ink management can become a real problem if you find yourself caught with an empty tank.
Dynamon riding the tower, initially getting to that first checkpoint. It's got to sit there now, and you have to hold back Rising Moon. You see the counter on top of the timer, 10 seconds left. What's also important, though, Ashley, is as that timer goes down at a checkpoint, that's proving keeping your score. And we see Dynamon just with a couple of fantastic splats holding down the fort.
Absolutely. And you know, if you stop on one of those checkpoints, if a teammate jumps on, that timer goes down faster. So if you see Dynamo adding another teammate to the tower, it's because they want to get that checkpoint countdown finished as quickly as possible.
Dynamon dominating the tower, getting splats, hopping off, gets another splat, gonna hop on top. The tower starting to automatically move back. Dynamon being patient, trying to get the splat on Seibu, but Seibu gonna put an end to the terror caused by Dynamon as the tower starting to return back to neutral. Let's do a little housekeeping here. We've got a charger, 2 blasters, and a splatter shot for Rising Moon. Meanwhile, for Dynamo, we've got a blaster, slosher, and a charger to go along with another roller.
Yeah, this is a good, I think this is a good setup for both teams. Obviously, you're going to want to have chargers in this map. You absolutely need to be able to pick off a person on top of that tower. Those squids have got to be pulled off the tower as quickly as possible by bomb, by charger, by any means. You take them off that tower.
And one thing I didn't mention is that when you stop at a checkpoint, once you clear that checkpoint, you don't have to go through it again.
Very important to notice right there, Eric. Meanwhile, Dynamon is the designated tower control expert for Dynamo, riding that tower, trying to get the splat on Andy, but no!
Wow.
Andy's gonna put an end to that movement right there. You gotta pay the toll on the tower, and Andy's the one taking collection.
Dynamon pays the price, and the tower heads back to the center of the map. This is really interesting. You're seeing a couple of players actually do a little bit of forward scouting. They're putting down some ink. They're kind of helping out their teammates. When the tower gets to those new areas, they're able to kind of swim around and actually have some mobility well in advance of actually arriving there.
2:27 left in this one. Dynamo with the dominant 9-100 lead at this point. Rising
so much toxic mist.
That toxic mist. Tower comes to a screeching halt as Dynamo has to hop off. They lose the tower. 4-4 on the field. Rising Moon is yet to ride the tower as Binks with a nice little pachink right there, but then that's going to be a splat by Dynamon. Dynamon backing up, and Kakashino going to provide some support with that slosher. However, going to get splatted by Andy once again. Excuse me, Inky with that splat. Give credit where it's due. Meanwhile, Wakaruno going to get the splat on the spawn.
just waiting for that beacon. And you know, Ninja Jump, not here. And so that makes it really easy for any charger user to just wait.
You mentioned that no stealth jump. That was such an important aspect of the meta going into this in the original Splatoon, not in this particular build for tournament play. So teams adjusting for that. We see some more toxic mist being deployed that's going to slow you down, reduce your ink in your tank. However, we see a lot of carnage go on by the tower right there as it goes back. 2-2 on the field right now as Rising Moon still yet to get on the board here, Ashley.
Yeah, this is the time. I mean, they've got about a minute and a half. They can make something happen. One of the things that I'm noticing, a lot of the higher level players, they're using the rails. They're claiming the rails, but maybe not using them.
Adruvado going under the Stingray and popping up and getting the splat. And that's
unreal.
We see from these players just how well they can.
So much mobility. I mean, just the jumping, there's sniping, there's dynamo rolling. I mean, it's just they're popping out and making these absolutely incredible moves.
Dynamon all over that tower, though, getting a critical splat, starting to ride it. Has a Stingray charged up as well, too. Just sloshing all sorts of ink.
He's in a very good position right now.
With the roller. Meanwhile, Andy trying to get a charge on Dynamon. Gonna be a little too late. That's a critical splat for Dynamon. Tower at 5 at this point. Can Dynamo get on top of it? And yes, they'll get it with the knockout. And there's not much to break down from this one. Dynamon doing a fine job of riding the tower, but the rest of Dynamo providing that support, because we never really saw 3-4 players from Rising Moon able to get to the tower here, Ashley.
Yeah, you could see using those ink rails really came in handy. They were able to kind of move around the map, get behind Rising Moon, figure out how they could cut off all of those avenues, and also deny Rising Moon from moving forward when they did have the tower.
Yeah, absolutely. Dynamon himself was, on the tower getting a lot of splats, but his teammate was actually out in front making sure the path was clear so
clearing the way. Yeah.
And it really came down to that pivotal point towards the end of the match. We saw Dynamon really take over the tower when it was close to the middle and then able to ride it. And you mentioned some of the roles the support players do to help that tower get to the goal here, Ashley.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to see a lot of high-level players have somebody, like you were saying, kind of paving the way forward. It's always possible you'd have somebody with a more short-range weapon on top of the tower. So obviously Dynamon is a perfect person for tower control to be on there. But then you want somebody with maybe a mid-range weapon or a slosher or something that's going to be able to do a lot of damage damage very quickly to take out those chargers. I mean, Andy was really doing a great job defending there for a while.
We just saw that instant replay, and our wonderful production crew, we're going to try and roll that up for you again, because this match was truly decided by that fantastic play by Dynamo at the end. And right here, Dynamo on top of the tower, Eric. And usually when you're at the tower, you're this close, you want to ride it to victory. But Dynamo hopping up and getting the splat mid-air with the flick, and that was all it needed to close this one out.
Yeah, especially they were already in the lead. You saw at that point they had pushed it to about 9, so they were like 9 units away from the goal. They just needed to play defensively because they're up. Their opponent didn't actually push the tower at all. I mean, they were still at 100. So whoever has the lower score there, even if they don't get the knockout, if time expires, whoever has that lowest score is going to win.
Well, what was interesting at the tail end of that replay, you saw a splashdown being used. And what's different about these specials that was utilized so much in Tower Control in the original version, there's no invincibility specials this time around, Ashley. There's no bubbler.
No
There's
Kraken.
no Kraken this
This
time.
is a no Kraken zone, everybody.
You can't just ride that for the final 10 seconds to victory. You've got to be much more offensively minded.
Yeah, this is the thing I love about how this tournament is set up. There is no invincibility. You're not going to be in that position. I know you guys at Ink TV know what I'm talking about. When you see somebody get that, pop a Kraken and ride that tower in, and there is nothing that you can do about it. That is not the case here. They absolutely have every opportunity to be able to take that tower back. And you know, we saw while they were practicing, sometimes they'd retake the tower at 1 and ride it all the way back and take a victory.
Anything can happen. So we just got done with Tower Control, our first game in this best of 5. That was taken by Dynamo. Let's get set for some Splat Zones here. It's going to be at Inkblot Art Academy, this new stage that we talked about. And when you get to Splat Zones, the difference between elite players and players more so getting introduced to the game.
Yeah.
The elite players talk about once you get that Splat Zone covered, Ashley, you want to treat that Splat Zone like the floor is lava. You want to get out of there and make sure you've got your ink in there, but then also keep the opposing team and find some positions to flank them from.
That's right. Maybe don't keep all 4 of your teammates inside the Splat Zone. That's a key strategy for anybody out there.
Let's get this Splat Zone started on Inkblot Art Academy. Both teams making a push for the zone right now. Dynamo in the blue, Rising Moon in the green. Dynamo going to go with that Splatter Shot Pro.
Up 2.
Slosher, Charger, and the Roller. Meanwhile, you've got Rising Moon in the green with the Charger, Octobrush, Slosher, and Splatter Shot. And also, new to this version here, Ashley, you see the little bar in between the scores? That's going to tell you how much ink is covered in that Splat Zone.
I love that, because when you're behind, you can see there's a little set of buildings here, or little blocks here in the middle of the Splat Zone, and you can't really see what's going on the other side.
Dynamon getting splatted by the Splatter Shot. Inky putting in some work right there, and it looks like Rising Moon might have the advantage to get the Splat Zone, but Dynamo not giving it up at all. Inky backing out of the zone right now, trying to cover some more territory, maybe get a push with that special. Has the splashdown ready to go, but no! Wakashino gonna say to that splashdown. Meanwhile, Rising Moon getting the splash. Nobody on the board yet, but there we go. Dynamo getting that counter down to begin with here, Ashley.
Yeah, you can see Wakarun is just, I mean, working it with that Charger, getting out, being able to get in, get out, and get back in position. Sometimes you have to get out of position so that you can get away, reset, and start over again.
340 left in this one, 67-100 advantage. 4-1 on the field for Dynamo right now. This is a chance to really keep Rising Moon back at the bay as Achubaru holding it down up top. We've got 2 members of Dynamo up top, being patient, waiting. You can now keep Rising Moon in your sights. It's 42-100 at this point. Dynamo having no issues whatsoever in this Splat Zone and Inkblot Art Academy. We oftentimes talk, Ashley, of all the ranked modes, this is the hardest one to sometimes make a comeback in.
Yeah, this is a tough one to make a comeback in, just because once you establish that you own that Splat Zone, it is tough to take it back.
Seibu gonna take control of the airspace with that Inkjet though, and this could be a huge turn of events if Rising Moon can get the territory.
There they go.
That's a 66-second penalty on Dynamo. That's gonna go ahead and put Rising Moon in this game and give them a chance. However, they've got quite the deficit. It's 83-14, 2:48 left in this one. 4-3 advantage on the field. Rising Moon, that counter's going down right now, Ashley.
And you can see Seibu and Inky are moving forward, trying to even just keep them from getting to that main Splat Zone, just because, hey, we're going to put down some paint, we're going to keep you from getting here, just so it's going to take you a little bit of extra time so that we can try to make something happen.
Dynamo now in control. They're going to tack on a 35-second penalty to Rising Moon, but they still have to take out a lot of time before their score can improve. 4-3 on the field right now for Dynamo. Wakaruun on top of an ink-proof surface right there, but going to navigate with a little bit of leverage, throw down a splat bomb, keep at base, got some help right there with the teammate. Meanwhile, going to start to creep into Rising Moon territory, looking back and try and zone things out. And right now, Dynamo, no issues whatsoever holding down the splat zone.
No, not at all. I mean, Kakashino just got splatted by Andy with that charger. Andy's really going out there and making stuff happen. But you can see Stingray really popular on this particular map.
4-2 advantage, and you saw from the wide view right there, there weren't any Rising Moon players in the same area code as the splat zone. And that'll do it. Another knockout for Dynamo. Once they re-seize control of the splat zone, they did a fine job of not only having players cover ground horizontally, but vertically at different levels, Ashley.
Yeah, you saw Wakaruun up there just keeping Rising Moon out. And I mean, when you have him, the combo of Wakaruun and Kakashino up top with a slosher, getting anybody who's coming just even barely close to that splat zone, he's just like, nah, I'm just gonna pour paint on. I'm just gonna pour that ink on you and take you out, goodbye, go back to the beginning.
And it's interesting on every level. Sometimes we've talked about some teams don't like to hang out in the splat zone too much, but Eric, on this map, when you get the leverage, the highest point in Inkblot Art Academy is at the middle of the map in that splat zone. That gives you a huge advantage as far as seeing where the opposing team's coming from. So in that situation, Dynamo holding it down from the highest point on the map.
Yeah, that high point, because it is so tall, I mean, really the only way to route someone from that is with a charger or to climb it and get up there yourself. So it's actually a pretty safe spot. Usually, as you said, you don't want to hang out in the middle of the splat zone, but because you have that verticality there, you're able to.
But there is also nothing to hide behind up there. So if you're up there, you are wide open to attack. So you definitely want to be careful. But if you're up there, you've got a great vantage point.
And as you mentioned, Jordan, earlier, I mean, we have only 4 specials available in this tournament mode. So what you can do normally is maybe pop, a defensive thing and stay in that splat zone. But here, there's not even any kind of support abilities. Like with the first game, you have your ability that's able to kind of point out enemy locations, and there's none of that.
Right, no echolocators in this game. Sometimes people use the Tenta missiles to locate players, and we also saw the Ink Storm a couple times, and we didn't get a chance to break that down quite yet. Tell us about that, Ashley.
I mean, I love the Ink Storm. You set it off, it ends up creating a cloud, and then it moves, and it starts raining ink, and it's so delightful, and it takes people by surprise, and it hurts a little bit.
And it's great because there's no way to get rid of it. It's great for splat zones. You're able to kind of seize control of it if you're able to throw the Ink Storm right onto the splat zone.
We saw Dynamo use 3 Ink Storms in that last match and really help re-seize control of that splat zone in the middle. So as we mentioned, it's now 2-0 Dynamo in this best of 5. They're trying to get their brooms out and look for a sweep as we prepare for Rainmaker on the Reef. And this could be an opportunity for Dynamo to either get the sweep. However, Rising Moon, anything can happen in Rainmaker. This could be a huge victory for them. And as we get to the Reef with Rainmaker, we talk about on these levels, Ashley, there's kind of a conventional route, but then also, if you can be a little sneaky squid, there's a little bit of a shortcut at times.
That's right. Sometimes you'll see teams have someone have a designated Rainmaker taker, and then they'll have a support person that follows them, creates lanes, lets them get the job done. You're going to see a lot of Toxic Mist in this map, I think, and you're going to see a lot of splatting. This is going to get crazy.
Andy getting splatted by Kakashino. However, that Rainmaker shield going to take out Dynamon. Dynamon's good, listen, but there's nothing you can do against a Rainmaker.
Absolutely not. You see that Rainmaker shield getting bigger in the other team's color, you better get out of the way.
Wakaruun doing some work right here, and now the Rainmaker belongs to Rising Moon in the green, Dynamo in the purple. Rising Moon, let's get some housekeeping. They have the Charger, Octobrush, the Splatter Shot Pro, and the Blaster. Meanwhile, Dynamo sticking with that Splatter Shot Pro, the Slosher, the Charger, and the Roller right now. 99-0 advantage, so not much of a lead at this point. Both teams really unable to seize control early on right here, Ashley.
Yeah, and you'll see, you'll notice right now what was happening was Dynamo chose to not pick up the Rainmaker right away. They chose to make those one-on-ones, get those splats, and now they can say, okay, we've taken a few people off the field, let's go in.
Wakaruun with the Rainmaker, and what's different about the Rainmaker, you no longer have that vortex of ink. It's going to be more of almost a ink grenade that gets launched out in front of you. That's going to change the dynamics of moving it around.
Definitely, it doesn't create a lane for you to ride in, and that's sort of the thing now where you need a support person to help you lay down some ink, get some stuff done, and it's also also, it's really tough to hit somebody short range with the Rainmaker.
Rainmaker was up for grabs, but it gets returned like a bad sweater to the middle of this map right now as both teams fight this over. 58-99 advantage right now for Dynamo. Not a huge advantage at this point. Both teams really getting a chance to push each other back and forth. However, we've got a 4-2 advantage on the field for Rising Moon, and there goes that little squid at the top of the screen.
Yeah, he's going for it.
However, a Splat right here is going to put a stop to the Rainmaker as Dynamo's trying to get it, but here goes Seibu, inking that shield with the brush right here. And a Splat, however, by the Stingray with Rock on Room.
That Stingray doesn't feel good. That Stingray to the face doesn't feel good at all. Nobody likes that. Autobaro picks up the Rainmaker, but we have an Ink Storm. I love that storm. It's so great.
That Ink Storm going to make things a little difficult. There's the cloud, not a forecast that Dynamo wants to deal with right now, but Atubaru right now with the Rainmaker trying to advance. However, excellent charge shot by Andy. Andy putting the brakes on the Rainmaker as right now Rising Moon 35-58 advantage. 4-2 on the field, though, for Dynamo. They can make a little bit of a push as the Rainmaker in the middle of the map here, actually.
Yeah, they've got 3 of them right there with the Rainmaker. They're going to try to take out Andy with that charger. I mean, I think that he is the most dangerous man on the field for Dynamo. Oh,
Double splats right here by
with the Rainmaker.
It is 3-1 on the field. Oh, Wakaroon going to go for the slam dunk. Nothing in his way. However, that splat bomb might get him. No! Wakaroon with DeAndre Jordan to finish it right there. Impressive victory. And we saw it right there, actually, the ability of Dynamo to get that double splat deep into Rising Moon territory, and that will conclude it with a sweep.
Yeah, if you're looking down the barrel of the Rainmaker and you've got a teammate next to you, get away from your teammate. Get away from your teammate. Run for it.
The final 15 seconds of this match, so much happening, and you saw Dynamo get to the goal and almost get taken out by a splat bomb, and really being able to navigate those ramps and the verticality, so impressive by Dynamo. You see the team effort right here. Wakaroon going to back up. Here comes that critical double splat. That's going to clear the way right there, Eric. And Eric, Wakaroon being very careful. Notice how able to jump over that green ink, the maneuverability we oftentimes like to highlight.
Very, very good. I mean, they really just played it perfectly right at the end there, and being able to take out Andy. I have to give all the credit to Andy for just some really good charger work throughout this whole series.
That will conclude Rising Moon's tournament. They certainly put up a hard-fought battle, but you're starting to see the strength of Dynamo and why they defeated over 900 teams in their tournament, Ashley. And this is a team that is talent-loaded top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they are a very tight-knit, well-oiled machine. I mean, that's the only way I can describe them. And to watch them play, I mean, they get each other.
It's the coordination.
Yeah,
it's really the way they all know their roles and they play them so effectively.
Right.
So as we get set for our second set of elimination matches, it'll be the blue-ringed Octolings from Australia/New Zealand taking on Deadbeat from the USA. Let's take a closer look at Deadbeat and their journey here.
Team Deadbeat, the U.S. representative in the 2017 Splatoon 2 World Inkling Invitational. Their combined skill set is a culmination of years of practice, truly masters of the game.
Splatoon's a fun game, it's fast-paced, it's exciting. I've been playing since the launch, which was about 2 years ago, and I just kept playing because I couldn't find any other game that interested me. There's a lot of depth in the game.
What I really like about my team is that they're willing to put in the work to get better.
I just love Nintendo games, I love shooters, so naturally I love Splatoon. Honestly, it's just a fun little game I play in my free time.
Beautiful. These are the moments that make the Splatoon community so wonderful. You can feel the emotion. These 4 teammates get to know each other. The world waits with bated breath to see if they will bring the ink.
Deadbeat, the winners of the 2017 Splatoon US Inkling Open. And Eric, we just got done watching the NBA Finals yesterday. We did. Golden State Warriors go 16-1 throughout the playoffs. Deadbeat, they go 16-1 throughout the U.S. Inkling Open, so it shows you how dominant of a team they were in North America.
Absolutely. You know, going into this tournament, I was like, man, deadbeat all the way. And, you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, I was kind of surprised in the opening rounds, actually, how some of those matches went. But, you know, anything can happen.
But you know, Witt says he learns from watching his own mistakes, and Tim loves tower control, and I mean, Hexen loves splat zones. So this is a team that I think is really excited to get into this next round and really get out there and have some chances to do something in different modes.
Yeah, Eric, Golden State goes 16-1, Deadbeat goes 16-1. No word on if Kevin Durant will join Deadbeat in the offseason, though. But as we get set for tower control here,
you and your sports ball jokes.
Teams have done such a good job of being able to push the tower forward, but also ink the territory in front of them. And it comes down to that core principle, territory control. What are some of the things these teams are looking for as they're moving the tower and they want to make sure they give a path for their team?
They're really looking for to make sure there's no threats is what it is. I mean, if you can wipe out the threats and then jump onto the tower, you're free and clear to proceed as you want.
Deadbeat taking on the blue-ringed Octolings and our 2 versus 3 best of 5. We're going to start with some tower control on Starfish main stage. And this is one of those maps that we've talked about here, Ashley, where now that the tower's moving, it's not so much about dominating the middle of the stage, but understanding the track that the tower moves on.
Yeah, you've got to know these maps inside and out. And these players don't really know them inside and out. They haven't had a terribly long amount of time to sort of learn the map. So, but they do, I think they're going to do just fine here.
Blue-ringed Octolings in the yellow, Deadbeat in the blue, so try to keep that one straight. Blue-ringed Octolings with the Splatter Shot Pro, the Charger, the Roller, the Octo Brush. Meanwhile, Deadbeat with that heavy Splatling, 2 splatter shots and a Charger. Nobody's claimed the tower yet, excuse me. Blue-ringed Octolings moving it to 98. 3-2 advantage on the field for them. And there goes Deadbeat in the blue, riding the tower. They're going to take the early lead as they approach the first checkpoint here, Ashley.
Yeah, and Hexen's going right there after Latias, trying to get that Charger out of the way so that Tim can ride that tower and hold it through those checkpoints.
Tim on the tower, advancing it to the second checkpoint, avoids the Stingray. Very nice job of him to hop off the tower, but then get back on before it resets. Meanwhile, using the middle pillar of that tower to avoid some damage. Wonderful move by Tim to hop off the tower and flank the roller.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to jump off the tower and defend, especially if your teammates are nowhere to be found. Now we are watching quite the effort by blue-ringed Octolings. They are pushing forward. They have gone onto their side.
I heard a pachink. I love the pachink. Blue-ringed Octolings getting the tower to the first checkpoint, almost to the first checkpoint. However, that's going to get returned, so they still have to go back to that one. They didn't clear it. Meanwhile, Hexen trying to just get as much of the turf covered as he avoids an auto bomb, using those splat bombs to create a little bit of ink to move around. Had the splash down, charge ready to go, but no! Latias with an unbelievable charge shot from afar.
So good with those charge shots. That's the thing you're going to see on main stage. You're going to see a lot of charging action. You're going to see a lot of POV, a lot of high ground advantage, no matter if you're on the tower or somewhere else on the map.
Witt using the sprinkler after the splashdown to seize control of the tower. It's going to return back to normal. Nobody claiming that in the middle quite yet. Meanwhile, Deadbeat trying to get a little bit of a push into blue-ringed Octoling territory. Hexen going to back up. Oh, there's a surprise Stingray that you avoid. Very nice avoidance by Hexen. Dealing with a little bit of pain. You see coming down from the Slosher right now. Meanwhile, SpongeBob going to get splatted right there. And there is that ink storm right now on the field.
The rain is coming down. They want to keep them out. But you know what? It didn't work. And Hexen, though, getting taken off the tower, so it's just sitting there all by itself, waiting for somebody like Bicky Bird to come in and jump on and take it over.
Bicky Bird riding the tower. It goes back to the middle. However, Tim's going to get splatted by Bicky Bird and that Octo Brush. Bicky Bird trying to do some work. An Inkjet ready to go whenever she wants it. Making sure to cover some territory, though, Ashley, not just rushing straight to that tower.
That's right. So because they want to have these exit lanes, especially because there's so much toxic mist going around, you want to make sure that the ground is covered before you start making your push to get on the tower, because that toxic mist is going to hurt, and also it's gonna slow you down. It's going to take down your ink.
We talked about the leverage flanking points that you can take in the middle of this stage as power, using that heavy splatling to get the splat from above. And now, Deadbeat back on the tower. They want to push it to the second checkpoint and increase their lead over blue-ringed Octolings.
Yeah, you can see power is actually just inking all of the areas in which blue-ringed Octolings can find a way in.
Hexen misses a chance to flank a blue-ringed Octoling. However, Deadbeat going to try and advance it to the second checkpoint. They're almost through it. However, 2 seconds left on that checkpoint. That's critical
They make
to clear
it. That was
now
a
the tower
huge clear.
won't stop next time. 1:30 left, 4-3 advantage on the field, 3 specials. They're going to the third checkpoint. What do they have to do here, Ashley, to get past?
They've got to defend, and it looks like they're doing a really good job. Matty Kuma gets stuck inside that ink storm. I mean, it's the toxic mist is so tough to survive, and there's the game.
Deadbeat riding the tower, able to avoid a couple of flanking opportunities from blue ringed Octolings. And we talked about the teamwork, making sure you communicate and you have your teammates there to help clear the way for the tower.
That's right. Sometimes if you're not communicating, you might not even know. If you're the designated lane pusher, you might not even know the tower's so close to the end of the game. And so to be able to say, oh gosh, hey guys, we all got to come back. That's tough. Especially when they're really pushing that tower pretty fast.
We saw Deadbeat really get that initial lead, and Eric, there wasn't really a lot of opportunities that match for the blue ringed Octolings to kind of get past that first checkpoint, and that's the variable of checkpoints now. You don't just get 4 open lanes of freeway to ride that tower. You've got to stop and slow down, and when you stop and slow down, you expose your team.
Absolutely. That's where you need to really rely on the rest of your team to be doing the splatting so you have time to get past those checkpoints. You saw Wit there with something like 10 or 11 splats. I mean, that was absolutely huge.
Wit with 11 splats and assists to go along with it. That results board will also show you how many specials were used. So that also gives you an idea of how often you were staying on the field, not getting splatted, charging that special meter. And we talk about some of the different abilities that these players are equipping, and a lot of them sometimes using that special charge up, but a lot of them focusing on mobility as well too.
Yeah, I mean, like the mobility, I think, for tower control is more important than the specials. I think, obviously, Toxic Mist is a really strong special in tower control. I mean, it's so powerful. I think we're going to see that a lot in the competitive scene. But yeah, mobility, being able to jump on the, get on the tower, ride the side of the tower, jump off the tower and defend, get back on the tower. I mean, if you are really good at being mobile and jumping and avoiding and dodging, especially chargers like Latias, you're in good shape.
Well, we saw that a lot of Stingrays being deployed, and these players doing a fine job of avoiding them, and you see them coming from surprise angles as well too, so very impressive. And so as we get set for this match, we're going to have Splat Zones on Muscle Forge Fitness, and we talk about that rock climbing pyramid in the middle of this map. And a lot of times, do you think that this is going to be a map, just like we saw in Inkblot Art Academy here, Eric, where you're going to want to stay at the highest point of this map to have a vantage point, even though the Splat Zone's there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having that elevation on everyone basically allows you to effectively communicate with the rest of your team, call out positions of enemies and everything else.
And as we've continued to talk about Deadbeat and the decision by Power, he's so well known in North America for his ability with the charger. However, I saw him in the elevator this morning. He said, I think I'm going to go with that heavy splatling. And that just goes to show you how adaptable these players can be, Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, he's a long-range player, and the heavy splatling is a long-range weapon. So he's still he's still driving around the same neighborhood. He's not living at the same house, but he's in the same neighborhood.
Let's get you started with action here. Blue ringed Octolings in the green, Deadbeat in the blue, SpongeBob getting some work done, and an early control of the Splat Zone for the blue ringed Octolings. However, it's going to be re-seized by Deadbeat, and you see the 4-second penalty applied. Yeah,
that penalty can be really painful if you get really close to the end here and then lose the zone. But you can see it's only 4 seconds right now.
Deadbeat with the zone, their loadout, you've got 2 splatter shots, a slosher, and a heavy splatling. Meanwhile, blue ringed Octolings, they're down 4-2 on the field right now. They've got a couple of splatter shots, a charger, and an Octo Brush as Matty Kuma trying to get the one-on-one against Hexen, but no, Hexen getting some help from Tim, and there's that communication, actually, calling out where you're at and asking for some backup.
Absolutely, and honestly, well, oh, I love that splashdown. Oh, I love it.
SpongeBob with the splashdown, 40-96, 4 minutes left in this one, 41-96. Now let's get that timer rolling again for Deadbeat as they have built a sizable lead early in this one. 4-3 advantage for the team from North America. Meanwhile, they've got the majority of that Splat Zone coverage. You can see that on that icon up top, 20-96. And for Deadbeat, it's kind of what we saw on Inkblot Art Academy, sitting at the top and forcing everyone away from the zone.
Indeed, and once you have that Splat Zone, as you can see right now, it is hard to take back.
3, 2, and 1, and that will do it in decisive fashion. Nice, tidy work by Deadbeat. Valiant effort by blue ringed Octolings in that map, but Deadbeat really seems to be on the same page now, actually, and dialed in.
Yeah, they're dialed in. I mean, that was the thing we talked about. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of tournament jitters. You got to get out, right? It's nervous. You guys are looking fresh today. you guys are staying fresh out in the audience. That could be it's a little scary playing in front of so many people. Thank you.
Well, we talked about the 16-1 record Deadbeat had in the U.S. Inkling Open. Their only loss in a match was Turf War. They went undefeated through all the other ranked matches, and so now that we've seen them in tower control and splat zones, they've really done a fine job of holding it down, Eric.
Absolutely. One thing I want to point out really quick is that when the game is released, you can actually use the spectator mode that I'm using in private battles yourself. So you can, if people out there, if you want to host your own tournaments, you can actually use this to kind of follow the action with the camera.
And if you practice enough, you might be as good as Eric.
Yeah, Eric's doing a fine job with that camera work, giving a chance to really see where both the teams are. So right now, you've got Deadbeat with the 2-0 advantage. If they get this victory, it's a sweep of the Blue Ring Doctolings, and they'll take on Dynamo. However, Blue Ring Doctolings, they've played very solidly. Just couldn't really swing the momentum these last two ranked matches. We've got Rainmaker now. If you're the Blue Ring Doctolings, what do you want to focus in on as you get set for this match that'll be played at Inkblot Art Academy?
I mean, I think I would expect Latias to have a charger. I would imagine that is going to be a very key part of their strategy to try to pick off people who try to run up and take the Rainmaker away. I definitely want to see more. I definitely want to see more slosher action from Wit. But if they can neutralize, I think, a slosher, and also I think if they can stay away from Power's heavy splatling, they might be in good shape here.
Let's get set for our third match in this best of 5 between Deadbeat and Blue Ringed Octolings. Octolings inking for their squid lives as they are down 2-0. Meanwhile, Deadbeat tried to get the sweep and move on to the finals against Dynamo. Deadbeat going to be in the magenta. They're going to be with a loadout of 2 splatter shots, a slosher and a heavy splatling. Meanwhile, the Blue Ringed Octolings in the turquoise. You've got a splatter shot, Octobrush, splatter shot pro, and a charger to get things started. Let's take a look at SpongeBev. SpongeBev trying to go around, get the flank on Hexen. Fine job right there.
Done.
And that's going to be a bursted Rainmaker shield, and off to the races is Blue Ringed Octolings early in this one.
Yeah, and you're going to see Matty Kuma working that Rainmaker, but also SpongeBev making that lane, getting ahead. You can see right up there, making a lane, trying to make things happen for Matty Kuma, make it a little bit easier for her to get some splats.
In a lot of these maps in Rainmaker, you are rewarded for going vertical. However, Deadbeat getting the fine splat on the Rainmaker, that's going to reset it back near the middle, though. Not a whole lot of push on the length of the map acquired by Blue Ring Doctolings right there. They have the 72-0 advantage, 4-3 on the field for Deadbeat this time.
Yeah, I think they've tried twice to get up this map here, and it's not working out too well for them. So I think maybe the next time they pick up the Rainmaker, we're going to see a little bit of a different strategy.
Rainmaker up for grabs, nobody quite ready to grab it yet, and you want to make sure, Ashley, a lot of times we're seeing these teams show a lot of patience as far as not approaching the goal, the result, the most important thing of this map until they make sure that they've got turf covered where they need to go.
Absolutely, and right now you're seeing Hexen trying to make a splashdown over on Latias because that's a key person to keep away from shooting at the Rainmaker.
Wit's going to pick up the Rainmaker and go along the side in some area that has not been explored by Ink quite yet. However, the Blue Ringed Octolings converge on Wit and get the splat by the Stingray, 83-66. Rainmaker in one of those tight little corners, so expect a lot of action right there, Ashley.
Yeah, Latias really taking that long-range Stingray. She's at the spawn point.
3-3 on the map right now as the Blue Ringed Octolings going to purposefully, though, hop into the water. Why would they do that there, Ashley?
You hop in the water, you reset the Rainmaker.
That's
right back to the middle.
It moves there instantly, and so it's much quicker to just go ahead and sacrifice the squid and get that Rainmaker back in the middle. Right now, we see a lot of the action at the top of the map, but here comes Deadbeat with that Rainmaker. Oh, and great defense by Blue Ringed Octolings, doing a fine job of sort of reading where Deadbeat wanted to go with that Rainmaker.
Absolutely. I think that was the exact opposite of where they tried to go with the Rainmaker, and so I think both teams trying to take the same strategy, but you know, without that slosher, Wit was the one carrying that Rainmaker. Without that slosher, that is tough to move forward.
And Deadbeat going to move into the lead 55-66 by seizing the Rainmaker right there. SpongeBev going to go ahead and get the splat. And Ashley, sometimes we see these matches that are so back and forth, it's all about getting that critical extra 5 or 10 points to your score to get the advantage when you run out of time.
It is. This is really close, and I think if Blue Ring Octolings can move it just 10 more points, they'll be right there with them. And we have 2 minutes left, so anything can happen.
Once again, you see the patience by Blue Ring Octolings. They're going to go ahead and let that Rainmaker reset and just make sure they don't let anybody get behind them. Latias, with that charger, doing a fine job of not giving up the back end to their team.
Really great job of keeping an eye on all of Deadbeat, making sure no one can get around back and splat her teammates, splat her teammates. That's the last thing you want.
And Wit being patient, trying to make sure they've got an advantage on the field. A couple specials ready to go. It's now 3-3-3 specials on the field for Deadbeat. Here come a couple of Tenta missiles raining down on the blue ring Doctoling. No splat there. Oh, there's a splat. However, Tim gets it on Matty Kuma. We've got 2-2 on the field. Minute 30 left, 55-66 advantage Deadbeat. They're trying to burst that Rainmaker shield. And you notice there's an ink-proof ramp right there. That's going to slow things down, Ashley.
Yeah, you're going to be popping up from that and having to walk up, which is really tough to do if you have the Rainmaker.
66-55 advantage Deadbeat. 1:16 left, 2-2 on the field at this point. Matty Kuma trying to keep Deadbeat away from that Rainmaker. Latia's just going to go and try and get it out of there, feeling the pressure from Deadbeat. Deadbeat putting some pressure. Tim with the critical splat. Tim with 2 critical splats right there. And the splash down. That could be huge to help Deadbeat. Deadbeat going for the slam dunk. However, it's going to get stopped by Blue Ring Octolings. 55 seconds left. And Tim with an incredible individual effort to help push that Rainmaker.
It might have been a little bit of a, maybe a little bit of a mistake for Latias to take the Rainmaker and actually be hesitant and move backwards because she actually brought it closer to the goal.
Rainmaker shield going to get Hexen, and Matty Kuma's going to have to move quickly with that Rainmaker. Oh, getting some communication on the map saying, this way, let's go. I've got an avenue for you. And Blue Ring Octolings trying to go, but no, getting flanked by Tim. Tim coming from behind, getting the splat. 24 seconds left, 66-15. Deadbeat with the advantage. A victory here gives them the sweep, allows them to move on to the finals against Dynamos. A couple specials ready to go for Deadbeat. 13 seconds left. Let's finish this one out here. Deadbeat, all they have to do is play some defense, protect that Rainmaker at all costs. However, SpongeBob has the chance to force this thing into overtime. SpongeBob has to bust the shield. Can they do it in time? Yes, we're headed to overtime, 66-15, but no!
Oh, they at the last second.
Deadbeat.
At the last second.
Able to secure it at the end. Blue Ring Octolings, wonderful effort.
Really,
they had a chance to force it into overtime, but Deadbeat was sitting there ready to take advantage. And Deadbeat, after stubbing their tentacles a couple times in the round robin play, a clean, methodical sweep as they get set to take on Dynamos in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, you know, really, honestly, great level of play in this last game. You saw the top splats and assists from both teams, 14 and 13.
Yeah.
I mean, it was right there.
I actually think that Blue Ring Octolings had more overall splats that match, but they just weren't able to effectively push the Rainmaker.
To convert, yeah.
And you mentioned that, and Deadbeat really coming down to that double splat that Tim had. And it was so critical as they were deep into Blue Ring Octoling territory. They were pushing. We saw Latias grab the Rainmaker, and we look at a couple replays of this match, highly contested. Our first match that wasn't a knockout in this elimination mode. So here's Tim. Latias with the Rainmaker, trying to back up, keep some space from Tim, misses with the shot. Tim gonna get 1 splat on Latias, 2 splats on SpongeBob. And at that point, with this splashdown, that's gonna create so much ink for Deadbeat to push it forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely that last bit of time there where Latias has always, in Rainmaker mode, and also we saw in Tower Control, really doing a great job of crowd control, getting the opponent away from whatever the objective is. And so when Latias has the Rainmaker, who's doing crowd control? You know, it's tough. That's a tough moment to make as anybody with a charger, especially if you're running support and you're like, oh my gosh, it's right there. Should I go get it or should I hold back? And it's just, that's a choice you make in the game. It's that split-second decision.
Impressive performances in the first round of elimination by both Dynamos and Deadbeat. Let's take a look at the bracket as we get set for the final round at the 2017 Splatoon World Inkling Invitational. Dynamos, the champions from Japan, conquered over 900 teams. Deadbeat, meanwhile, really starting to find their footing. What will happen? Stick around after the break. We'll get you set for the finals as 2 teams battle it out at the 2017 Splatoon World Inkling Invitational.
Yeah, are we gonna, that'll be a thing again? Oh boy. I'm excited.
Welcome back to the 2017 Splatoon World Inkling Invitational as we showcase Splatoon 2. We're down to our finals. 2 teams, Deadbeat representing USA and Dynamo representing Japan. What are they battling for? Well, we have got the award right next to us. We'd love to introduce the Splatoon Sterling Squid, over 30 pounds of bragging rights to the victorious team. These 2 teams will face off, and not a best of 3, not a best of 5, but a best of 7 as they get set. So it's going to be the first team to win 4 matches. And let's show you the order of these matches and how we will approach them as these teams get set to square off. And we've already seen both teams very impressive in elimination mode. Dynamo has been flawless so far. So as you look at this, Ashley, and here's how it goes. Splat Zones in game 1, Tower Control game 2, Turf War game 3, Rainmaker game 4, and if necessary, we go back to Tower Control, Turf War, and Rainmaker. So Ashley, both these teams on this stage, what do you think is going through the mind of these players?
Oh, I mean, I think that really right now they are so locked in that nothing's different than just playing a game any other time. I mean, they play at such a high level. I think it really is, it's almost like a muscle memory. You sit down, you're ready to play, you're locked in, you say, okay, I know what I did the last few matches. I know how I can adjust. They've been watching each other play this afternoon, so I think there's definitely some opportunity for some strategy and some counter strategy.
Right. These teams are, as you said, completely in the zone. I mean, I know that when I play Splatoon, you know, I'm not thinking about anything else, and people can be talking to me. I'm like, what? You know, because like I don't hear anything, I don't see anything except the game.
Well, what we were discussing with Dynamo before we started, and we've seen evident at this point as we get started with our first match in the grand finals of the 2017 Splatoon 2 World Inkling Invitational. Dynamo representing Japan, taking on Deadbeat representing North America. Deadbeat has found their stride recently. Dynamo dominant since the beginning. Let's get started on Inkblot Art Academy. In orange for Deadbeat, they're going to go with the heavy splatling, 2 splatter shots, and a slosher. Meanwhile, for Dynamo in the turquoise, you've got a splatter shot pro, a slosher, a charger, and a roller. An early action, Dynamo getting out to the middle of the splat zone, but Deadbeat has a chance. It's going back and forth early on, Ashley.
I think we're going to see Dynamo head up to that top area and really kind of establish himself up top, but gets splatted. Wit takes him out.
Critical splat by Wit, because you saw Dynamo try to time up the Ink Storm with Dynamon climbing to the top. Atubado getting the splat right now, trying to push back Deadbeat. Right now, you've got Dynamo in the middle of that splat zone with an 83-100 advantage, 3-3 on the field.
Yeah, Atabaro's trying really hard to get some ink on the ground there, try to take that splat zone. I think that big, giant chunk of orange is the last thing keeping them from taking it over. And, I mean, honestly, they lost control, but can they hold?
Wit and Deadbeat gonna go ahead and seize control as they get a whole bucket of orange ink in the middle of the splat zone. 86, 61, 30-second penalty for Dynamo. Now let's see if Deadbeat could push back Dynamo. 4-3 on the field, special ready to go for power and that heavy splatling whenever he chooses to do so. Here comes some Tenta missiles to try and keep Dynamo at bay. No success there. However, Deadbeat gonna take the early lead in this one.
A lot of orange on the ground.
40 left. 4-4 on the field, but you see 3 specials ready for Dynamo as they get set to make that ink storm in the middle of the zone.
Yeah, that was the way for them to sort of push forward, because for a while there, I mean, they were doing Deadbeat was doing a really good job keeping Dynamo out from that splat zone.
61-39, and Dynamo has control of the splat zone as they start to get that timer to tick down. That penalty is now down to just 15 seconds. 4-3 advantage on the field for Dynamo as we see Tim trying to go up this ink-proof ramp. It's going to slow him down a little bit, trying to flank on Dynamon. Dynamon going to make it rain, though, by flicking that Dynamo roller and using that horizontal and vertical flick to cause some damage.
I mean, that vertical flick is brutal, and he really just uses it to its maximum effectiveness.
However, Deadbeat with the lead, 39-57. However, no penalty for Dynamo as that timer starts to tick really close to a tie here, 46-39. It's going to be Dynamo that's going to try and take the lead unless Deadbeat can do something, and that's the lead. Oh, just at the last second, Deadbeat able to get it. Deadbeat trying to seize control, 39-38. Deadbeat trails Dynamo, 35-second penalty. Control in the middle right now for Deadbeat. Deadbeat 3-1 on the field for Deadbeat. Here goes Wit going to the top of the tower, trying to keep Dynamo at bay, Ashley.
Yeah, you can see he's splashing that area next to the ink-proof ramp, and he's just trying to keep out Dynamo, saying, hey guys, like, you're gonna have to not only get through here, but you have to now paint, you've got to ink that ground.
And Deadbeat goes and takes the lead, but they only get it by 1 point as Dynamo now facing a 40-second penalty, but then Deadbeat's gonna seize control of the Splat Zone, trying to keep Dynamo at bay. Hexen gonna drop down. Meanwhile, here comes Wit with that splasher. And you've got the Ink Storm.
The Ink Storm happening
That's
here.
trying to cover the area right there. And Splat Zone still up for grabs at this point. 22-38 advantage. Deadbeat still up
wow,
for grabs at this point.
Mid-splash.
Impressive.
Wow.
Double splat right there. That is huge as it's now 4-2 on the field. Dynamo gonna seize control of the Splat Zone, sitting on top of that tower. However, they have a stiff 28-second penalty to overcome. Here comes some Tenta missiles and the territory in the middle. That Splat Zone gonna be re-seized by Deadbeat. Frantic match that we have here, Ashley.
Yeah, absolutely. And Otobaro absolutely just going bananas right now. Inking, splatting, getting all over the place. He's all over the shop. It is incredible to watch him play. And you know what? He's not panicking. That's exactly how he's splatting all these people.
Otobaro normally averages 20 splats per match. You can see how an individual effort can turn the tide. 38-22. However, just 4 seconds left in that penalty for Dynamo. Slight lead for Deadbeat. However, Dynamo keeping that timer going down. 22-28. Dynamo trying to re-seize the lead. However, great defense by Deadbeat. They're able to retake the middle of the Splat Zone, and they're going to cut down into the penalty. 47 seconds left. 40-second penalty for Dynamo. Meanwhile, if you're Deadbeat, you just have to play some defense and keep Dynamo out of the zone. Otobaro going to take advantage of that one-on-one, but here comes the splashdown. That's going to get it by power with the splashdown. 30 seconds left, 22-25. Penalty going down for Deadbeat. And you've got Dynamo trying to
start taking
but the specials by Deadbeat really helping out right now, Ashley.
Yeah, absolutely. They have got to take control. Dynamo's got to take control back if they're thinking they're going to win this.
25-22. Dynamo, though, with a 40-second penalty. Can they retake control of the Splat Zone? 10 seconds left. This might be headed into overtime. We'll see. It's still up for grabs. First team to seize control. And now Dynamo in control with 34 seconds left. We're going to certainly go to overtime here. Yes. Now Deadbeat can take control of the Splat Zone. It's going to be over. They'll get the victory. 20 seconds left. Dynamo, they just need to hold on. We see the Tenta missiles. They lost control. Can Deadbeat seize control? And Deadbeat going to do a fine job in overtime, taking control of the Splat Zone. And we saw the specials. Well-timed use of those for Deadbeat here, Ashley.
So good, so well coordinated. I mean, they are obviously communicating super well, making sure that they're launching everything they need to launch right when it needs to go.
What a match. I mean, that was back and forth all the way down to the end.
I'm exhausted from that.
We got more. We got more,
absolutely. So you saw Dynamo get out to the early lead, and they really tried to time that Ink Storm along with Dynamon hopping on top of the tower. But Deadbeat doing a fine job of making sure they never really seize control of that top of that tower, Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, you saw a lot of burst bombs, a lot of sprinklers going up there, just keeping anybody from getting up there and really establishing any kind of advantage for a particular amount of time.
Let's take a look at a couple replays from that absolutely exhilarating match between Deadbeat and Dynamo, where Deadbeat gets the advantage in the very first opening match in our grand finals. Here's Otobaro trying to get that zone covered. Gets the splat on power.
Boom, midair.
2 splats in a row, midair on the splashdown. Hexen gonna get splatted by Otobaro. Otobaro gonna get another splat on power. And this was when Dynamo was getting set to make their push. However, Deadbeat didn't give up. Here's Wit using the slosher, just covering territory. Well-timed usage of the Tenta missiles. And then you saw the splat in midair by Tim. So Deadbeat doing everything you need to do right at the end to win this one.
Absolutely, and you notice he also threw a suction bomb up on the top there to get his opponent off of the high ground.
You got to clear the club sometime.
Yeah, I mean,
empty it out.
That splat when he was mid splashdown, I mean, if that thing lands, it paints, or it inks a big portion of that splat zone.
Yeah.
So that was absolutely incredible.
It was
very impressive by both teams. And as we get set for our next matchup, it's going to be tower control on Moray Tower. So we're going to see a lot more action as these teams get set to ride the tower. As we mentioned, grand finals, best of 7. Deadbeat representing USA taking on Dynamo from Japan. Dynamo championed over 900 teams in their regional qualifier. Splat Zones, first game, that goes to Deadbeat, so 1-0 advantage for them. Meanwhile, our next game will be tower control. And what have we learned from how the way these two teams play tower control about how important it is to make sure you have a path for the tower moving forward.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see a lot of Power is going to probably be that support person, trying to make clear path, get people out of the way over on Dynamo's side. And then Dynamo, obviously, Dynamon is going to be riding that tower. We all know.
Absolutely right. And Eric, when you've got a player like Dynamon on the opposition that you're facing, that you know that loves to get on the tower, how much do you potentially change your strategy to try to make sure that he can't secure the tower and you keep him out of his comfort zone?
Yeah, I mean, as we said, it's all about cutting off those lanes of attack. So if they can do that, Dynamite can't get to the tower in the first place.
I predict we will be seeing a lot of Toxic Mist. I predict we will be seeing a lot of bombs. We're getting a lot of bombs.
In the orange, they're going to go with a blaster, a slosher, a charger, a roller. Meanwhile, Deadbeat in the purple, you've got the heavy splatling, 2 splatter shots, and a blaster. Those blasters, as we know, very popular in tower control mode. Early 99-0 advantage. That's not going to sit very long, but Dynamo hopping on the tower. One-on-one situation here. Tim going to get the advantage over Kakashino. Meanwhile, tower going to be reclaimed by Deadbeat. Deadbeat trying to get some points to their score, 88-100 advantage for Dynamo.
There they go. Yeah, you can see Deadbeat has power on top. He's working that heavy splatling. He's going to try to clear a path, paint, get some paint down, help his teammates get in front of that tower.
However, Power getting splatted on the tower at that checkpoint, and that's what we talk about. The checkpoints really change the dynamic of tower control because you can no longer just ride the tower and sort of pivot behind that barrier.
And hide, yeah, and that's a key thing here that I am very excited about because I can't tell you how many times I watched the tower just ride away into the sunset without me, and I was like, wait, please come back.
Tim gonna hop off the tower, get the splat on Azubardo, try to make some room. Let's see if Deadbeat can be ready for the onslaught coming from Dynamo up top. Here comes the splashdown, and the tower is going to get to the first checkpoint, trying to clear it. That's going to be critical as far as helping Deadbeat make subsequent pushes, and that'll be cleared. 50-88 advantage Deadbeat as they get set to move forward deeper into Dynamo territory.
They are pushing hard right now. You can see there are teammates jumping onto the tower. It's going to help that get that countdown down a little bit faster.
Power doing a fine job of backing off the tower, avoiding to get splatted. You can go ahead and give up control of the tower for a little bit. It's not going to reset as fast as the Rainmaker. It keeps you alive, keeps you special charged also.
Yeah, he's able to stop, but oh man, that was some really nice back alley healings right there. That was some really nice splatting happening right there by Dynamo.
Yeah, no thank you card is going to be exchanged between both these teams as Dynamo going to start flicking some more ink on that wall, and you notice the vertical flick allows those rollers to climb walls so much better. Right now, 88-19 advantage. Deadbeat at this point. 2 checkpoints still remain for Dynamo, so they're facing quite the up tower battle here at 48 Towers. And so if you're Deadbeat, oh, impressive splat right there by Azubardo with the pachink. If you're Deadbeat, how defensively minded should you be right now?
I mean, right now, all they have to do is just hold that tower. I mean, just keep it out of their zone, and they win. And so but it's 2.5 minutes, and anything can happen. Dynamo really working that roller, but getting caught up in Toxic Mist.
That Toxic Mist going to slow you down, take away your ink. However, Dynamo going to ride that tower. Dynamo at the first checkpoint. They've got a cavalcade of squids at that tower trying to get through that checkpoint. That's going to help them with some more additional pushes, and it is now 53-19. Dynamo trying to make their critical push in this match. Deadbeat trying to keep them at bay. 2 minutes left in this one. 2-2 on the field. Now a 3-2 advantage for Deadbeat.
Yeah, you can see Power's been trying to sort of keep this tower at bay by using that heavy splatling and doing a good job of it, but wow, Tim, just getting up on that tower.
Tim with the splat on Walker Room. That's going to allow Deadbeat to gain control of the tower and just let that reset to the middle as 148. Now the clock becomes the friend of Deadbeat. They want that thing to tick down as fast as possible.
Look at all of this ink. There's ink everywhere. This is amazing. This is the level players seeing. There is literally battles to be found everywhere on this map.
It is hectic in the middle of this map. You've got both teams really at different levels right now trying to apply pressure. Nobody can really get that advantage at this point. It's been a bit of a stalemate the last 30 seconds. 125 left in this one. 19-29. Here comes a splashdown as Tim going to go ahead and get the splat, and that's going to help pave the way. Now look at what Tim's doing. Clearing some ink to give a path for the tower and Tim's teammates to make sure that they can support that tower and its push.
Yeah, able to push forward, also able to get out. That's a key thing. Once that tower goes beyond a certain point, you want to be able to get out of there if stuff starts getting a little heated.
1 minute left, 4-1 on the field, Dynamo. So you are all by your lonesome self on that tower right now. 56 seconds left, and if you're Deadbeat, maybe start thinking about being a little defensive, keeping Dynamo at bay. Meanwhile, here goes Dynamo. They're going to go deep into Deadbeat territory. Get some orange ink there to try to make one more push as we are under a minute left. 4-3 on the field, but 3 specials for Dynamo.
Yeah, Dynamo absolutely has to be a little bit aggressive here. It's a risk, but it's also something that I think they're going to have to do to be able to beat the clock and get this overtime win.
You see Deadbeat throwing some toxic mist from afar. That's going to drain the ink on the tower. Some pressure applied by Power with a critical splat on the tower. That's going to try to reset it at normal. Dynamo going to lose the tower. Here comes a splash down by Atubaru, though, to get a critical splat. Get a splat on Tim. It is now 4-2 on the field. This could be a moment of truth as that tower is now at the final checkpoint for Dynamo. Can they get through the checkpoint? 19:26. 8 seconds left. Hang in there with us, folks. 19:20. And the lead is going to go to Dynamo as they claim it the last second. 2 seconds left. And Dynamo with the last pivotal push. And you see the emotion from their team. They realize this was our last chance. We don't want to find ourselves in the 2-0 hole in the grand finals. And Dynamo doing a fine job of getting a critical double splat to close out that one.
Yeah, I mean, they really did exactly what we were talking about. I mean, they had to get aggressive at the end there. They had to ride on that tower. They had to move it as quickly as possible, get through that last checkpoint even, and then they were able to pull it out.
As we look at the replays of this one, just another incredible match that goes to the final second, and really Dynamo's ability to plow through that final checkpoint. Here they are right now, and you see the double splat that's going to be coming up right now. It's 3-2 on the field. They get through this checkpoint, and then the pressure being applied by Deadbeat, but Dynamo able to use that slosher to get some ink to go up top, and that's all they needed to do to close out the victory to make it 1-1 in the grand finals. And the best part is that means we get more Splatoon.
That's right. It was a really great choice by Atubaru to go up the ramp and actually kind of do a little forward damage and take out Wix. Wick was standing there with that splasher. It would have been so bad for Dynamo, but he was able to get up there and kind of make something happen, get that splat, and help his team to victory.
Yeah, you saw Deadbeat at about the 1 minute mark. They kind of switched their attitude, and they're like, okay, so we're in the lead. Well, I'm just going to kind of play defensively. That may have been a mistake considering, you know, maybe they backed off a little too much and gave Dynamo a little too much room to
you give them an inch, they squid all over.
Yes, well, we talk about in Turf War how the final minute, the final 30 seconds especially, you can't afford to get splatted. Well, that carries over to all these other game modes. And you look at not being able to stay alive and that critical double splat by Dynamo late in the game, that gives them the advantage. And so you can ride that tower deep into Deadbeat territory.
Yeah, we're about to watch some Turf War. And the thing is those fundamentals in Turf War carry over to every single game mode in a very deep way.
Previous matchup between Deadbeat and Dynamo in Turf War, Dynamo found themselves with a 51.9 to 42.9 victory. So we've seen Deadbeat sort of get their footing back again. They struggled a little bit their first 2 matches in Turf War. Can they bounce back and provide some resistance for Dynamo, who was flawless in the round-robin Turf War portion?
I think, you know, maybe Deadbeat's coming in with a little momentum after that. Yeah, maybe I think they feel really good about Tower. And I hope that with Turf War, they can say, okay, we have to reset. Let's get some good strategies. Let's counter-attack in ways that are appropriate.
Turf War on Humpback Pump Track. Certainly an exciting map. Wide open area in the middle. We know we have the mound in the middle as both teams get set. Let's go ahead. Deadbeat in the purple, Dynamo in the neon greenish yellow. Deadbeat in the purple, they're going to go with the heavy splatling, 2 splatter slots, and a slosher. Meanwhile, Dynamo going to go with splat dualies, a slosher, a charger, and a roller, as both teams really getting a chance to ink their halves of the map. We see Deadbeat kind of going to the perimeter here, Ashley. Meanwhile, Dynamo making a push for the middle mound.
Yeah, I think these teams have different strategies. Obviously, Deadbeat wanting to get that track covered in purple so that they're able to kind of flank their opponents, get in there, and make something happen. Atubaru, I'm really curious to see what he does with these dualies.
Ooh, Power and Takashino going to trade splats right there. You saw Power do a fine job of just avoiding that onslaught of slosher behind that wall. However, it just wasn't enough. 4-4 on the field, 2-14 right now. Pretty even match at this point. Deadbeat with a slight advantage of ink coverage on the map. As you can see, they're trying to get a push into Dynamo territory. And if you're Deadbeat, we saw them sometimes time that last push a little too late, it seemed like. We don't know whether that was by choice or accident. I'm sure they're going to look to be much more aggressive earlier on.
Yeah, they're obviously playing a lot more aggressive than they did in their round-robin Turf Wars. They are getting into enemy territory. They are rushing down their opponents, but, you know, they got to win those one-on-ones.
Hexen going to get splat by Kakashino once again. Kakashino just waiting around in the ink, going to try and find some prey. Going to back up, get the splat on Wit right now, and that's going to start to turn the tide of momentum as we see more yellow ink covered. However, Power with that heavy splat link going to get the splat on Kakashino. 1.5 minutes left, 4-3 advantage, Deadbeat on the field, and really anybody's match still at this point here.
Yeah, and I mean, Power, oh, wow, he barely pulled off that heavy splat link before he got splatted himself. Now we're going to see the wonderful and painful Stingray. Oh!
Power going to get splat by Wakaroon, and Power is so impressive you could give him a raindrop and he could probably splat somebody. Meanwhile, 1 minute left, 4-3 advantage. Deadbeat looking at the map. Deadbeat doing a fine job of pushing Dynamo back. However, still plenty of time left in this one. You see a special ready to go for Deadbeat. That purple ink covering up more than half of the map right now. And you see Deadbeat doing a fine job of getting the outer BMX track of Pump Back Pump Track also.
Absolutely. They are doing their best to cut off any avenue for Dynamo to get behind them, to take them by surprise. They're just not allowing that to happen.
But here comes Dynamo starting to make a push to the middle and through the bottom part of the map as you look at the top-down version here. And Dynamon going to start flicking some ink with that Dynamo roller. However, using some protection from Wit. Wit trying to get the slosher on. You see the splat dualies and the maneuverability. Dynamon backing up, feeling a little pressure from Deadbeat in that purple ink. 18 seconds left. 4-3 on the field. 4-2. No. This is the chance for Deadbeat to make a push. They've got a 4-2 advantage and 3 specials ready to go. 10 seconds left. Can they make that final push to keep Dynamo at bay? 6 seconds left. 4-2. Here come the specials, we are sure. 3-3 at this point, and this is going to be much closer, I think, because we see a couple splatterings of yellow ink at the tail end.
Yeah. This is going to be a close one, I think. I see a lot of purple, though.
I see a lot of purple, and yes, the Judd agrees. 55.2 to 38, and so Deadbeat, which struggled initially in Turf War, hands Dynamo their first Turf War loss of the afternoon. And really, we see these players, and Eric, we talked about how they will adapt to the game as they continue to play it more, and that's what we're seeing with Deadbeat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they looked like a different team from the initial round robin.
Yeah.
I mean, they were so aggressive, just splatting any chance they got, and were able to control all the turf.
Yeah, there was no hesitation happening in this round of Turf War. They went out there and they said, we have a job to do and we are going to do it. And they did a really nice job. I was watching on the overhead map. They did a really nice job of throwing bombs and getting ink put down behind their opponents so that they had no means of escape. And that's always an excellent strategy when you're having those one-on-ones.
We should also mention in the finals, the team that loses a match will have selection of the next map. So there's some strategy that goes into that. So that humpback pump track selection was made by Deadbeat after they lost tower control. So you wonder what these teams are factoring in as they look at not only the game mode, but how it applies to the map.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, after practicing, these teams have preferences of which maps they feel the strongest in. Of course, depending on the game mode, maybe you feel better about a certain map in Rainmaker, or maybe you feel better about another map in Tower Control. So I kind of love that they picked Muscle Forge Fitness for this one.
Muscle Forge Fitness for our next round of Rainmaker. Right now, Deadbeat with a 2-1 advantage in this best-of-7 grand finals matchup of the 2017 Splatoon 2 World Inkling Invitational. A victory here, it's not a must-win, but it would go a very far way for Deadbeat as far as giving some distance between them and Dynamo and putting some pressure on Dynamo. So we look at Rainmaker. What are some of the things that you think Deadbeat will try to focus in on this match as they had success last time in Rainmaker?
I think they're going to have to absolutely neutralize Autobaru because he's going to be out there hunting.
He's a hunter, for sure.
He's a hunter. He's going to be out there just hunting for anybody who's accidentally been led astray from the flock to pick them off. And I think this is going to be a really great.
Let's make it rain on Muscle Forge Fitness. Let's go ahead and get to your teams right now. Deadbeat in the green. They're going to go with the heavy Splatling, 2 splatter shots, and a slosher. Meanwhile, Dynamo in the purple. You've got a roller, charger, slosher, and splatter shot pro. Shield initially going to be bursted by Deadbeat. However, that Rainmaker still up for grabs. Nobody claiming that 4-2 advantage, 3-2 advantage. Dynamo on the field as they grab the Rainmaker. They're going to push it to 85 before it gets seized. And right now, we already see both teams being very aggressive, wasting no time, trying to get to that Rainmaker.
That's right. You're going to see Power hanging back with that heavy Splatling and just doing everything in his power to target the Rainmaker. He did that with Autobaro. Autobaro picked up the Rainmaker. He was like, no, my friend. No, not today.
85-0 advantage right now. Looks like that Rainmaker's going to get reset right now. No, it's going to be grabbed by Dynamo as they push it to a 63-0 lead at this point. 4-3 advantage on the map right now for Deadbeat. Plenty of time left in this one. 4:07 going, and right now, Deadbeat unable to really get a push outside of their half of the map here, Ashley.
Yeah, this is interesting because you can see Hexen got a little bit too far ahead there into enemy territory and ended up getting splatted by the Rainmaker.
However, Tim gonna go to some uncharted territory. No Ink over there to take a 46-63 advantage for Deadbeat before Dynamo gets the splat. And now you got a little bit more pressure applied by Deadbeat as there's all sorts of splatting going on. Dynamon with that Dynamo roller, as we said, trying to burst the shield. No collateral damage there. 63-31 advantage, and we see Dynamon just reset the Rainmaker, move it to the middle, and you like that move there, Ashley.
Good, that was a good choice. Obviously, you want to get it back to the middle as quickly as possible, and walking it there, or even swimming there is not the best idea.
Especially since by the time you reset, get back into action, that shield probably will not have been bursted yet. 3 minutes left in this one, 4-4 on the field, 2 specials for Dynamo, 31-63 advantage for Deadbeat. Rainmaker up for grabs in the middle, both teams just trying to feel each other out, find that way they can get some ink coverage so they can find a great route and an escort to get to the other side of this map.
Yeah, you'll notice a lot of these teams at this high-level play don't just immediately grab the Rainmaker. That's always the thing you always want to do. It's your instinct. You want to just grab it, but no, you got to hold off.
Tim is bringing his lunch pail and hard hat and putting in work. Stops the tent of missiles from going. Gets another splat there, so 2 critical splats for Tim. And now the Rainmaker, Tim, is starting to take over this match, 31-63. However, Wit going to get stopped by Atubado, 63-31 advantage Deadbeat at this point. Atubado just holding back, trying to maintain some leverage on Deadbeat. Meanwhile, Deadbeat being very aggressive and getting Dynamo pushed on their heels.
I have to say, there is a lot of green on this map, and Deadbeat is doing a really great job of creating lanes, creating problems for Dynamo, and obviously it's going very well for them.
How about Dynamon shooting the Rainmaker behind a wall of coverage and getting the splat as it's now 63-31, getting to the 2-minute marks. Things are going to start to get a little bit more inky here. Dynamo, they've got the early deficit going on right now, but still plenty of time left. And right now, we see Power trying to find some position, trying to hold that back line, provide some cover and a route for his team. Meanwhile, Dynamo still kind of stuck in that corner because of where the Rainmaker's at, Ashley.
Yeah, well, Wit and Hexen are doing a really good job of throwing bombs out and keeping anybody from Dynamo from getting to the Rainmaker. So, fortunately, Dynamo's able to pick it up at this point, but there is a lot of green on the ground, and they're going to have to make some serious gains in the last minute and a half of this game.
Dynamon with the Rainmaker, though, moving across the grates at this point, trying to get a couple critical splats, and this is going to start to move their score much quicker. Oh, we've got 31-47, but a critical splat. Great defense by Deadbeat. You see Hexen with the splatter shot, able to prevent Dynamo from advancing anymore, but don't you hold your breath quite yet because Dynamo grabs it again. They're trying to push it, however, Deadbeat retreating them as we're just to a minute left. 4-1 advantage on the field for Deadbeat as they secure it.
Hexen doing an absolutely fantastic job of hiding underneath this grate over here and taking everybody out as they walk across it because they can't swim, they can't hide, there's nowhere for them to go.
Under a minute left, Tim with the Rainmaker right now, and when you've got the lead, we saw them be a little hesitant in tower control. What do you have to do if you're Tim to try to get some help as we see the splat by Atubado? 40 seconds left and you have the lead.
I mean, you gotta have a teammate with you, and I think that's such a key thing. It'll be interesting to see if Atubado can win this one-on-one with Power. He does.
Critical one-on-one victory for Atubado. Can he get another splat? But no, Wit providing some support right there. 47-31, 27 seconds left, 3-3 on the field. Deadbeat with the victory here, proves a 3-1. Dynamo trying to tie things up in this grand finals right now. Wit putting some pressure on Wakaroon, but no, Wakaroon getting some help right now. Wakaroon trying to push this. They need one more push, Dynamo here. They don't have much time left on the clock. Here comes the final push. Expect the match to come down to this right here. Trying to get the push, getting flanked from behind. Impressive splat by Tim. 3 seconds left. Is that going to do it? And that'll do it. Deadbeat able to recover and flank and get behind the Rainmaker quick enough in that match before Dynamo can make one more final push, Ashley.
One of the things Deadbeat did really well is, again, that fundamental turf war mentality of put down ink. They had so much green on that map at one point. It was like, if we pick up the Rainmaker, that's a free road to a win. So to be able to put down that much ink it's just so helpful, and also keeping your opponents away.
Yeah, that mechanic helps. Like, even if you're not near the action, you're not near the Rainmaker, there's always something you can do to help your team, even if you're on the other side of the map, is making lanes towards the enemy goal.
We talk about the teamwork that's required, but sometimes individual efforts can turn the tide of any match. And Tim, in this previous match, went on a rampage for a short little while that really helped turn things. At this point, it's 63-31. Deadbeat was trying to get a little bit more momentum, but Tim with the splat on Atubaro, going to avoid the ink coming from Dynamon.
Great bombs.
Another splat by Deadbeat on Dynamon, and then going to drop down and get the splat on Kakashino. That's going to give another advantage. And then 7 seconds left. You see Wakaruun gets splatted from behind by Tim. And Tim not only playing some great offense, but great defense also, Ashley.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're on defense, the best thing for you to do is to have spatial awareness. And I think that is such a key component, especially in these sort of other modes where obviously the main objective is not turf war, where you're going around and you're saying, okay, like, I need to know where the Rainmaker is. I need to know where my opponents are. I need to know where my teammates are so I can go help them. There's so much spatial awareness involved, and you can see both of these teams doing a really good job of it, but I think Deadbeat a little bit better last round.
3-1 advantage for Deadbeat in these grand finals. They win one more match. They are the winners of the 2017 Splatoon 2 World Inkling Invitational. However, Dynamo has a few things to say about that. Dynamo, it's tower control. For our Game 5, they select Moray Towers. They were victorious on it previously. However, we saw in that previous match, Deadbeat essentially had that Game 1 until late in this one.
Very late.
What does Deadbeat learn from their loss last time? As we've said before, we've heard from Penguin that he loves to learn from watching his own mistakes. What do they do differently in this match?
I mean, I think that they have to really make an effort to have, I think Power's going to have to really push on making sure that he is using that heavy, if he's using that heavy splatling, I think that he's going to have to really do a great job of coverage.
Game 5 of the grand finals. Tower control, Moray Towers. Deadbeat in the blue. One more victory, and they will be your champions. Meanwhile, Dynamo inking for their lives. Dynamo going with the blaster, slosher, charger, roller. Meanwhile, Deadbeat going with the heavy splatling, 2 splatter shots, and a blaster as Kakashino early on. Dynamo in the yellow, as we mentioned. Deadbeat in the blue. Kakashino going to ride that tower. Early advantage right now, 90 to 100. Hopping off the tower, going to lose the one-on-one to Tim, though, as Tim gets the impressive splat. The tower's going to go ahead and reset. And as we mentioned, it's a little bit easier to get up the towers with more mobility in Moray Towers.
Yeah, this is a huge thing for anybody who's ever been splatted in Moray Towers by a charger. That's going to be a really handy change in Splatoon 2.
Tim once again helping out his team, hopping on the tower as Deadbeat takes the lead as they approach the very first checkpoint. Here comes the splashdown, going to try and clear out some traffic, but no. Kakashino going to get that splat with the slosher. Meanwhile, Stingray putting some pressure, but Hexen trying to get into Dynamo territory, feels some flank pressure behind him, going to get the splat on Dynamon, and that is huge as Deadbeat going to ride this to the first checkpoint. They've got a 4-3 advantage. They've got to lock it down here at this point. Going to feel some pressure. They get the critical splat on Atubaro.
That was a huge splat.
And Deadbeat doing a fine job of holding off the pushes from Dynamo as they advance the tower.
Absolutely. They'll easily pass this checkpoint. They were able to take out a lot of Dynamo, and now you can see they're coming down one by one. Never a good idea.
One more checkpoint stands between Deadbeat and victory. 3-1 in the best of 7. One more victory would do it. However, a double splat by the splat bomb as Kakashino doing in some work right there. That's going to be some great defense. However, Deadbeat with a huge 90-6 lead. They can do it. They're just flirting with victory right now, but you've got a pair of Dynamo on the tower. Dynamon says, I'm not ready to end this Splatoon World Inkling Invitational yet. I got some more things to say here. 90-6. You see the 4-2 advantage on the field for Deadbeat right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can see, oh man, Tim is working he's working overtime right now, trying to take out everybody. Takes out Dynamon. That was a huge, huge splat.
Deadbeat hopping back on the tower again. They see how close victory can be to them. Meanwhile, Dynamo, they are still fighting for survival in this tournament. We see the Toxic Mist. That'll slow down some of the momentum for Deadbeat. We see a super jump going to be on the tower right now. Probably going to get keyed in there. Tim able to safely land at this point. Meanwhile, Atubaro being contained by 2 members of Deadbeat at the top. Tim going to retreat right here. Meanwhile, tower being reclaimed by Dynamo. And you see how important this critical push by Deadbeat has been. And they're not putting their foot off the pedal right now.
No way. They're being very aggressive. They want this. They can taste those super sea snails.
Kakashino going with the Tenta missiles. That's certainly going to help right there. However, tower's going to get paused for a moment. You've got 2:15 left, a 6-90 lead for Deadbeat. Remember, one more victory, and they are your champions of the 2017 Splatoon 2 World Inkling Invitational. 2 minutes left, tower in the middle, still up for grabs. And is this the point where Deadbeat realizes their folly from the previous match and looks to push it even more?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, you can see Power really putting in the work right now, jumping up and down, getting the great splat right there of Dynamon. He's up there just getting it done.
Tim with the flank on Kakashino, going to start riding the tower. It is a 3-3 tie on the field. Couple of specials, 3-2 on the field, 2 specials also for Deadbeat. Can they continue to push that tower? They're hopping off momentarily. Meanwhile, you see Dynamo just being patient, waiting for the tower. We're at a minute 30. Still enough time, but you're going to start limiting the amount of pushes you have. If you're Deadbeat, you got to stay aggressive still here after.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened before. I mean, this is they have 6. There's only defense to be played, but anything can happen in the last minute of this match.
Dynamon trying to push into Deadbeat territory. Meanwhile, Dynamo going to hop on the tower. Dynamon got that Stingray ready to go, looking to try to get a couple critical splats. This is where Dynamo clutched victory away from the grasp of Deadbeat last time. Can they do it again? They're at the first checkpoint, 1 minute left. It's going to most likely have to go into overtime if Dynamo wants to get that victory. 58 seconds left. They're trying to push it past the point. They survive as Rockaroon. It's a 3-3 equal footing on the field. 3-2 advantage though. Rockaroon trying to get a critical splat on Wit. Wit ducking behind the counter. However, tower lost. They didn't hop on it. 44 seconds. 6-53. One more checkpoint remaining for Dynamo. If they win, they continue to keep this grand finals going on. If Deadbeat is victorious, it's over. 4-2 advantage on the field for Deadbeat. And actually, this is where Deadbeat has to make that final championship push.
They absolutely have to push really hard right now. All of these respawns are going to be coming into the field. Kakashino is a force to be reckoned with a slosher. You do not want to be in his face.
This could be the final 18 seconds of our tournament. 6-41 lead for Deadbeat. You see Deadbeat pushing deep into Dynamo territory. However, that splashdown will be negated. 10 seconds left. Can Dynamo get on the tower to force overtime? Wit's on the tower. 5 more seconds from the Splatoon Sterling Squid. If Deadbeat can hold it.
Dynamo's on the tower.
Dynamo's going to hop on top. We're into overtime. It just needs one more Deadbeat to hop on top. Meanwhile, Dynamo, they can still claim victory and push us into another mode. And they're looking strong. They have one more checkpoint to get to. Deadbeat
Everybody's jumping onto this tower right now.
Everyone's jumping on the tower, as you said. Wait, trying to get a couple splats. It's got us in this checkpoint. Triple splat! Sound the air horn! Deadbeat! And they couldn't have done it in more dramatic fashion. Unbelievable performance. 2 teams, the absolute best in the world, but you see Deadbeat able to survive the final push that Dynamo was trying to put on. And you look at Dynamo, just how impressive they were the entire day. You see the skill from all of their players, and just an absolutely incredible match here, Ashley.
Unbelievable. And I mean, Dynamo really pushing at the end there and doing their absolute best. But you know what? When you've got a cluster of squidlings on that tower, that is really dangerous to be doing in overtime. And I feel like that was a thing that a burst bomb can take care of.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Deadbeat so vital in those last moments. I mean, they all had actually double digits in splats and assists, which you don't see a lot.
Huge, huge. Real team effort.
Yep. Deadbeat, representing North America, your champions of the 2017 Splatoon 2 World Inkling Invitational. That'll do it for us, but before we get going, let's go ahead and toss it to the producer of Splatoon 2, Mr. Nogami, to hand out the Splatoon Sterling Squid to our champions.
はい、では優勝したデッドビートの皆さん、本当におめでとうございます。
I want to give a hearty congratulations to our tournament winners, Deadbeat.
そして、ダイナメウの皆さん、それから、ライジングムーンの皆さん、そしてブルーリングとオクトリングの皆さん、本当に素晴らしい戦いぶりでした。
And also, let's hear congratulations for the other teams, Dynamo, Blue Ring Octolings, and Rising Moon.
そして会場の皆さん、中継をご覧の皆さん、長時間お付き合いいただいて本当にありがとうございました。
Thank you everyone here in the booth and as well as all the Splatoon fans watching from home around the world for sticking with us for so long.
本当にこんなにこの光景は本当にもう夢のようです。こんなに素晴らしい機会に恵まれたのは本当に世界中のスプラトゥーンファンの応援のおかげと心から感謝を申し上げます。
I'm incredibly pleased with how splendid this atmosphere has become, and I want to say that I think the reason we're blessed with such a good experience with this tournament is thanks to the support from fans around the world, and I want to thank you genuinely from the bottom of my heart.
スプラトゥーン2は、いよいよ来月7月の21日に発売されます。
Splatoon 2 is finally on arrival next month on July 21st.
皆さんの応援にお応えできるよう、我々イカ研究所も力いっぱい盛り上げていきますので、引き続き応援をよろしくお願いします。
You can rest assured that in answering all the support from fans around the world, we will continue our squid research with all the power we have.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody.